Police are looking for a suspect after a man was shot in the lower legs while driving through Rose Park. He stopped at a Maverick gas station where he was treated until police arrived. Investigators are asking anyone with evidence or details about the shooting to give them a call. Police are investigating an officer-involved shooting that left one man dead in Sandy. This happened at a home near Shady Meadow Drive yesterday afternoon. Sandy Police Sergeant Michael Olson says officers were investigating a domestic violence incident when they made contact with a man in his 40s.
Officers were attempting to engage in conversation with that male when he pulled a weapon from his lower leg and charged at the officers.
Olson says the officers fired 4 shots, at least 2 of which hit the man. He died at the hospital. Police haven't said whether anyone else was at the home at the time, nor did they say who, if anyone else, lives there. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Aviation experts are weighing in on the deadly collision between an Air Canada jet and an emergency vehicle at New York's LaGuardia Airport.
ABC aviation consultant John Nance says this is something pilots actually train for.
We use in simulators all over the world all the time the old truck on the runway scenario to get pilots to go around. But if you don't have enough airspeed and somebody appears in front of you, there's very little opportunity to really change the trajectory of that jet.
Flight Radar 24 tells ABC News its preliminary data shows the Air Canada plane was going between 93 and 105 miles an hour when it ran into the fire truck. The pilot and co-pilot both killed, multiple other people taken to hospitals. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow's up 1,015 points to 46,593. Coming up, we've still got a crash affecting your drive in Magna, and today starts a warm-up for the next 3 days. Traffic and weather together is next. KSL News Time, 9:01.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-551-7672.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-551-7672. That's 800-551-7672.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
It was opening night at Hale Center Theater for The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Victor Hugo's classic tale. I was with my son, Ian, and it was nothing short of spectacular. The staging, the costuming, the music, it's simply breathtaking. And, of course, the actors and the voices. You have to see The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's on the main stage right now at Hale Center Theater. So many of the scenes are never to be forgotten. For example, when Frollo is just struggling with his passion for Esmeralda and his soul, the flames and the tension on the stage is unbelievable. And to see the Hunchback up in the tower with the bells, don't miss Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's underway right now at Hale Center Theater. And continuing, Peter Pan Goes Wrong. That's on the Jewel Box stage and Hallmarked on the Beehive stage. Get your tickets now. hct.org. Don't miss the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I'm Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. Ever wonder why I say Arctic Spa, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate? Well, we are the world's most northern manufacturer of spas, and we are built for the cold climates. We are just more heavy duty. It is commercial grade, but built for your house. We use fiberglass instead of ABS plastic. We use thicker, stronger, better insulating covers. We use our heat lock insulation to utilize the excess heat from the motors to help heat the water and protect the equipment. Arctic Spas are designed to last longer and be less expensive for you over the long term. Arctic Spas are known for their water care automation with our automatic saltwater system and our automatic pH control. We have it, no one else does. This makes it easier and more enjoyable for you to own an Arctic Spa. Find the perfect Arctic Spa for you at arcticspasutah.com or visit any of our 3 stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. That's why we say Arctic Spa, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at UCCU.com. And here's Cormac Bone.
Our delays eastbound on the 201 freeway through Magna are easing, but we do still have that crash. It looks like they've opened up both the lanes, and that might be why. It is that crash still blocking the left shoulder just before 7200 west. Northbound I-15 delays really starting to ease out, maybe just a little slow as you approach 13th south. Otherwise, delays are heavier in Lehigh eastbound Pioneer Crossing, still bogged down as you try to get to I-15. 2100 north, also still heavy and slow from 3600 west over to 2300 west eastbound, and some light westbound delays. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather forecast. Today's going to be cloudy but warm. The heat is going to stick around, too. Highs in the 70s today. Tomorrow, similar looks, but it'll warm up closer to 80. By Wednesday, we could be at 84 degrees. Woo. Right now, though, it's 54 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Good morning. Welcome to another week of Inside Sources. I am Greg Skordas, and I'm sorry, Holly, I missed Friday. I was up at Park City doing a ski and CLE seminar, and it was actually kind of fun.
I had Jim Bennett as a co-host. It was fun.
So you didn't miss me at all.
We did miss you, but it was great to have Jim with me.
Well, as usual, there's news over the weekend. Things are going on, and starting today, this is a little bit of a shock, I think, to some people. ICE agents are headed to different airports across the country to help out with TSA. ICE and TSA are both under the umbrella of Department of Homeland Security, which is currently part of the government shutdown. TSA agents have been going unpaid for weeks. Some of them are not showing up for their shifts, and many are just calling and saying, hey, I can't make it. Here's more from ABC News senior political correspondent Rachel Scott.
Sources tell us that ICE officials were caught off guard by this move from the president. The president posted it on social media, and then ICE officials were scrambling to try to figure out how exactly to carry out the president's plan. Sources say this is going to start with about 14 airports across the country, but those numbers could change. And while the administration insists this is all about easing those long lines that you are seeing at airports across the country, Democrats are accusing the president of playing politics.
And I'm looking at the 14 airports that are currently designated. I don't see Salt Lake International on this, but there are certainly a lot of our neighbors, Phoenix and others. So they're obviously a lot of the larger airports. And you answered this for me earlier, but ICE is not replacing TSA.
Right.
They're I don't know. What do you think their role is going to be?
So that's one of the interesting things, right? Especially if they were caught off guard. So Tom Homan has said that ICE will be there. He's the border czar, right? So he said ICE agents will not be there to actually do security as far as like going through the machines. They're not trained in that. They're there to help provide security at airport entrances and exits. So I don't know if the crowd's getting unruly. I don't know if that's really the goal. I did just see a statement from the mayor of Atlanta who said they're not there to enforce immigration either. They're there to just be support to TSA. But I don't understand how this is going to shorten the lines.
Yeah. It probably has very little to do with the lines, unless they are, in fact, going to help out TSA. But they're two different roles, two different colleagues, and two different probably sets of training. So I don't know what they really intend to do.
So ABC's Sam Sweeney joined the Start Here podcast to explain what we know and what we don't know.
We haven't gotten a real clear idea of exactly what these ICE officers are going to be doing in the airports, but Tom Homan, the border czar, said on CNN on Sunday that they would be manning doors and relieving some of those people that, work the areas where passengers walk out of the secure area, freeing up those people that then go over to the metal detectors and the screening checkpoints and help out there to provide some sort of relief.
I don't see an ICE agent looking at an x-ray machine because they're not trained in that. There are certain parts of security that TSA is doing that we can move them off those jobs and put them in the specialized jobs, help move those lines.
TSA officers are highly trained. They are specialized in security screening. And it's not just what you see, your bags going through that scanner or you going through the magnetometer. There's also behavioral detection officers. They're looking for people who may be jittery, who are sweating when they walk up to the checkpoint. These people know what they're doing. They do it every day. ICE agents do not do this. ICE agents don't work the border. They're not the people who are in the customs lines. That's CBP officers. But again, it hasn't been clearly laid out exactly how these ICE officers are going to bring these lines down.
Well, and if the Trump administration's like, yeah, we'll be sending them, we'll get back to you on exactly what they're doing. Like, at this point, we don't have a very clear picture of what this is about to look like this morning. But if I'm a TSA agent and I'm seeing a bunch of ICE agents standing around because they're not necessarily trained in any of this, but I know they're getting paid because their wing of the DHS is funded, and I'm not getting a paycheck, not until this whole thing is shut down and I get my back pay at least, that would be infuriating. So, I mean, what has been the reaction, I guess, from policymakers on this plan?
I think a lot of people have questions, even within the administration. When ABC News has reached out, people don't have a clear idea within the administration of how this is going to work. Mm-hmm. We also don't have a confirmed DHS secretary or an interim secretary right now. That adds an extra layer. Now the TSA union is coming out, the president of the union blasting, this idea, reiterating that TSA officers are trained in detecting explosives, detecting threats to the national airspace system. And ICE officers simply don't have that training. And the answer is to pay the people to get them back to work and get our lines moving again.
There is just so many facets to this, too, because you've got ICE, you've got TSA, you've got Homeland Security, you've got the whole shakeup with Kristi Noem, new person coming in, the government shutdown, and the Save America Act is sort of on the back burner of this.
Which doesn't have anything to do with the shutdown. However,
right.
President Trump told News Nation on Sunday that he did not want to have ICE agents out of airports until the Save America Act passed. So he said ICE agents will remain at airports for as long as it takes until the Save America Act passed, which is super interesting because they don't really go together. But I guess in his mind they do. It's one way to get, to get some traction. But also there's an article in Politico this morning that reminds us that lawmakers are set to go out of town this Friday for a 2-week recess for Easter and Passover. There's no deal in sight. And I'll remind our listeners that Democrats have proposed somewhere around 8 different bills that would fund everything but ICE, and because they want to come to the table on what ICE agents are doing. And the president said no. He has claimed responsibility for blocking all of those deals to push through. So he said in this article that I'm just reading that he wants to have everything lumped together, the Save America Act, the funding bill. He wants it all done, transgender men in sports, women's sports. He wants all of that all done in one big thing before they leave for the recess.
Agree to anything, right?
But I don't
sort of
think it'll happen.
Right?
Yeah,
it's
like
going
an
to be
all or
difficult.
nothing.
Well, and we'll see what Democrats do because that's and so many of them are not interrelated to the point where you would think they should be tied to one another. But it worked for Trump with the one big beautiful bill. He got that passed because he put so much in it and said, "Look, it's all or nothing," and it ended up being all. He clearly, well, in my opinion, won that battle, and I think Congress basically gave in at the end. They may end up doing that again with this. We'll see, because people are not going to want ICE agents at their airports. Salt Lake's been spared so far, but 14 of the largest international airports in the country are affected, and that may actually go into place today.
They are already there, actually. I've seen news stories about them actually being in airports, including in Atlanta. So one of the airports on that list is LaGuardia Airport in New York, and they're shut down this morning, and it is for a different reason. Unfortunately, it's because There was a deadly crash late last night at LaGuardia between a plane that was landing and a fire truck. So we're going to have the latest on that when we come back after this break.
Hey, Utah! Are you ready for the Utah Mammoth to hit the ice? From game-winning goals to behind-the-scenes moments, Mammoth Plus brings the action to you all season long. Whether you're at home, on the go, or in the stands, don't miss a single shift. Visit UtahMammothPlus.com and start streaming today. That's UtahMammothPlus.com. Every game, every goal, live on Mammoth Plus.
Let's retrofit and renovate old buildings before it's too late. 45 wire pipes and power lines to keep things flowing and get back online. EIGONE. Let's work together to get ready. We don't have to be scared. Visit earthquakes.utah.gov to prepare.
Brought to you by Envision Utah.
You may not think about Great Salt Lake, but it's affecting your life every day. It brings lake effect snow and epic powder days. It supports thousands of jobs that keep Utah thriving. It provides a haven for millions of birds. And it keeps our air cleaner and our summers cooler. It also could affect your home's value, your kids' asthma, your morning run, your powder days, your future. Without a healthy lake, we face toxic dust storms full of mercury and arsenic, along with higher health costs, fewer jobs, and lower home values. This isn't just an environmental issue, it's personal. The lake affects you. Now it's your turn to affect the lake, because our lives depend on our lake. Act now at growgsl.org.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Does it feel like someone's stabbing a knife into your heel? Or does your lower back give you problems as the day goes on? The Good Feet store wants to help you, like we helped Ann.
Every time I stood up, pain just shot up my legs. Fortunately, I found the Good Feet store. I went to them after my doctor diagnosed me with plantar fasciitis. And now, thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm 100%.
Wouldn't it be nice to get back to doing what you love, like Patrick did?
I was in constant pain. Somehow my fiance and I found our way into the Good Feet store. Put my foot on the arch support system. I put them in my shoes, my back, my knees, my ankles. Thank you. Thank you, everybody at the Good Feet store. You gave me my active life back.
Learn more or schedule an appointment at goodfeet.com and come in and get your free personalized fitting at the Good Feet store. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
If you're struggling with your mortgage, there's a free government program that offers expert one-on-one advice about your mortgage options. Call 1-888-995-HOPE or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
Progressive's Accident Response can detect and send help when you need it most, after a major car accident. But other accidents, you're on your own. Like when you accidentally call your wife Mom. When you accidentally say Happy Holidays on someone's birthday. When you accidentally wave at someone you thought was waving at you. We can't help with those accidents, but Progressive's Accident Response provides peace of mind after major car accidents. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Limited availability in California. Driver is responsible for emergency and towing charges not covered by the policy.
Jackson Hewitt will do your taxes for $149 or less, no matter how complicated. So if you're a delivery driver, /handyman, /wedding DJ, you pay only $149 or less. We're talking to you, waitress.
Check, please.
/pet sitter, /influencer. Just $149 or less. Want your refund to work as hard as you? Hurry. Don't wait. File with Jackson Hewitt today. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
If you talk and they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy. So we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription. and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
Inside Sources.
Well, if there's not enough going on already at LaGuardia Airport in New York, there was, with respect to the ICE agents moving in today. Last night, I think around 11 o'clock, an Air Canada Express flight collided with a fire truck on the runway, leaving the pilot and co-pilot dead. Here's ABC News transportation correspondent Gio Benitez, who was on the scene with more.
Images show the plane's nose destroyed, the entire plane tilted up into the air, shreds of the plane hanging to the runway below. The mangled fire truck on its side in the grass, surrounded by debris. Our New York station WABC speaking with two of the passengers.
Just heard a loud bang, and then everyone's like freaking out, not knowing what to do.
LaGuardia, one of the nation's busiest airports, closing down immediately.
I mean, I think that's always scary, right? It's always scary to hear about plane crashes, and I think there's even some audio from air traffic control.
Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower, requesting to cross 4 at Delta.
Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 at Delta.
Truck 1 and Company, crossing 4 at Delta.
Stop, Truck 1. Stop. Stop, Truck 1. Stop. Jet 646, I see you collide with a vehicle there. Just hold position. I know you can't move. The vehicles are responding to you now.
Stop.
I know. It's sad and it's scary, right? And we have with us on the line News Nation's Marcus Espinoza. Thanks for joining us, Marcus, this morning.
Absolutely. Good morning to you guys.
What can you tell us about what we know about how this happened last night?
Yeah, so let's go back. This is about 20 minutes before midnight Monday, and this flight was landing, this Air Canada regional jet, so a smaller plane carrying 72 people, 4 crew members, was landing and on the runway, and then it collided with a New York Port Authority fire truck that was responding to a separate incident on the tarmac. And then that violent collision, unfortunately and tragically, killed the 2 pilots in the Air Canada regional jet, injured 40-plus people. 9 are still in the hospital in critical condition. Just absolutely devastating images of the front of the nose of that jet that have been circulating on TV and certainly on social media as well. The thing is, that audio, some of that you played, is really chilling, still gives me goosebumps every time I hear it this morning. The fire truck did request permission to cross that taxiway, was cleared to do so by ATC, and then shortly after changing their mind and trying to get that truck to stop, was really unable to do so.
Yeah, the images, like you said, Marcus, are just horrific. What do we know about the fire truck? Was it a really particularly large vehicle? And do we know anything about the passengers, the drivers, the crew that was on board that vehicle?
I believe they were injured and being treated at the hospital. We have not had an update on them yet. Those trucks are pretty significant. And, I think the question right now is, of course, the speed of the plane, not necessarily in any sort of whose fault it was, but just an interest of what could cause such a devastating collision and all that devastation that you see at that point. And then, I'm sorry, what was your other question?
Oh, just the status of the crew. But you said that they were injured and being treated.
Yeah, from the truck, and you can imagine just what they've gone through. And anybody who did not get injured, they were escorted to the Air Canada Ticket Center lounge, and they were reunited with family. There was also an unaccompanied minor on that plane, so you can imagine how terrified that young one might have been.
And the truck was going to some scene. The fire truck was going to another unrelated scene, something that happened to be going on at the airport that they were responding to. Is that what you understand?
That's correct. Yes, that's what else I wanted to say is that according to the press conference that airport officials had early this morning, and we're expecting an update here soon, they mentioned that truck was responding to an emergency with another plane with an odor issue, reporting some sort of odor that they were responding to, because for what we're gathering and understanding, for trucks to be on the taxiway like that, responding and crossing runways, that's only done for emergencies and for situations like that, because of how dangerous, as we can see, crossing runways are, especially dark at night. There's been heavy fog here. There's been no direct cause. Obviously, these investigations take some time, but those are all factors that certainly may have played into this. And so that truck was only there responding to an incident already taking place. Otherwise, a truck like that is not in place to be anywhere near a runway.
Marcus, we know the airport closed down right away. Is it still closed, and how long might it stay closed?
Yeah, it's closed and it's eerie inside. If anybody knows anything about LaGuardia, it's one of the busiest airports in the country, hundreds of flights a day. And I was inside the terminal, and it's a ghost town. It's closed till 2 p.m. today at least. We're trying to see how long that'll extend, if it does, or if they'll, 2 o'clock, they'll open things back up. But, I spoke to a passenger who they've had long lines that we've been reporting on here, and the passenger I spoke with arrived at 2 a.m. to try to beat those lines, had no idea this had happened, got to the airport, obviously could not proceed through TSA. Nobody was there. The airport was shut down, ended up having to take a bus to his destination in Pittsburgh. So it created all kinds of chaos. Travel plans getting changed are certainly a headache, but certainly nothing compared to the fact that 2 pilots, lost their lives here, because it's just unimaginable.
So do we understand, Marcus, that the entire airport is shut down? I mean, this is
it's literally shut down.
Yeah,
correct.
It was a significant event. But
nobody's landing, nobody's taking off, nobody's getting through security. Nobody's here, basically.
Can you talk to us about how this is going to maybe have ripple effects to other airports?
Well, the East Coast has already been a mess. I've been reporting at Newark the past 3 days in a row, actually, since Friday, with TSA call-outs because, of course, they're not getting paid still. And then Newark this morning had temporarily had a ground stop because of a burning smell in their control tower till 9:30 in the morning. So it causes massive ripple effects when airports as big as LaGuardia shuts down, because they were already having huge hours-long lines to begin with because of the staffing issue with TSA, and now you shut down the entire airport since pretty much midnight till 2 o'clock. It's going to affect really the entire country because of all the connecting flights, right?
And Marcus, I know the investigation on something like this is done better when the scene is not disturbed. Do you know whether the plane and the truck are still in place while authorities?
It's still there.
Yeah,
absolutely. It was still there as of 11:03 when I was live for News Nation on TV. So that was the last live look I had at it. From my vantage point, they kept us obviously at a staging area. We can't see it from here, but I would imagine, if that was just 20 minutes ago, that plane is still there, and I don't think it would move anytime soon. It's a large scene. The plane is tilted up, almost at like a 45-degree angle. It's really remarkable to look at.
I had a question about some of the passengers on the plane. There were some apparently not injured, and then several dozen that were. Do you have any update on their status?
Just the numbers right now, 41 that were injured and taken to the hospital, and then the 9 people that were not released and still there with serious injuries. We'll probably get more information from the next press conference as far as injury status update. I don't even believe that, or they were in the process of contacting the next of kin for the pilots and letting them know of the horrible situation there.
Thank you for joining us this morning. That was News Nation's Marcus Espinoza, who's at the scene of this really terrible collision that occurred between a small aircraft, medium-sized aircraft, and a fire truck on one of the runways at LaGuardia Airport. Shut the entire airport down. It was an Air Canada Express flight, collided with a fire truck, and you could hear the callers saying, "Hey, stop the truck, stop the truck!" But
after they had already said you can go, and then it was stop. You've got to stop, but it was not in time.
This doesn't, I think, have anything to do with the TSA strike and what we talked about the last segment, but because air traffic and TSA are different agencies.
Air traffic controllers are being paid.
Yeah,
I think what the impacts, though, are the ripple effects of you've already had delayed flights, you've already had a hot mess with air traffic, and now you've had an airport that's been shut down. It'll be more than 12 hours by the time they reopen, if they reopen at noon our time, 2 o'clock Eastern time.
And you have to imagine New York LaGuardia probably one of the largest airports
It's
in the world.
big.
I
It's
mean,
big.
Well, flying can be stressful, and things like this certainly don't help. But among other things, there are a lot of stress in our lives, but maybe not so much in Utah. A new study from Wallet Hub shows that Utah is the 49th least stressed state in the nation. I think
Is that real?
That's pretty remarkable. We'll learn more about what makes Utah so least stressful when we come back.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Police in Grand County are looking for people who vandalized petroglyphs just outside Moab. Grand County Police say contact information for a Baja race team was scratched into stone near petroglyphs in the Tusher Tunnel area. They say these cultural and historical resources are irreplaceable and damage to them is taken seriously. Efforts to protect these sites continues with a bill on the governor's desk that would create a fund for restoration of these sites.
The fund will be used for the prevention of harm to and restoration of public funds.
Representative Stuart Barlow says right now any fees paid by vandals do not always go towards fixing the defaced area, but this fund will change that. 2 men have been arrested with the alleged theft of more than $10,000 worth of property from cabins in Cedar Canyon. The Iron County Sheriff's Office got a trespassing call this weekend when they got to the area. The suspects took off in a truck but got stuck and just ran off. The alleged thieves came back for the truck, and that's when they were arrested. Some of the items stolen included a 70-inch flat-screen TV and a bearskin rug. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump says the U.S. is in talks with Iran. It's unclear which representatives of the Iranian government the U.S. is talking to, but the president says that because of the talks, the U.S. is postponing attacks on Iranian energy facilities.
They want very much to make a deal. We'd like to make a deal, too. We're going to get together today by probably phone because it's very hard to find a country. It's very hard for them to get out, I guess.
The president postponed those attacks for at least 5 days. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 1,038 points to 46,615. Coming up, looks like things have cleared up in some parts of our commute, and we've got warm temperatures for the next 3 days. Traffic and weather together is next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. You can feel the spring in the air. As a matter of fact, we've been feeling the spring in the air all winter long. But as the season genuinely changes, it's time to make your reservation at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, Hotel Park City, and downtown Salt Lake City. And don't forget, quite a few great events are just around the corner, including some holidays. We'll have a lot of visitors in Salt Lake City before long, and it's time to make your reservation at the downtown location, 275 South West Temple. And of course, up in the mountains, it is beautiful. There's still some skiing going on. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse is right there at Hotel Park City. The best meal you have ever had awaits you at Ruth's Chris. Whether it's steaks, whether it's poultry, whether it's seafood, the side dishes, the desserts, you're going to love Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, downtown Salt Lake City and Hotel Park City.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Ready for your next vehicle? At Performance Automotive in Bountiful. Your new Ford, Toyota, or Honda is here. Built for Utah communities, canyon weekends, and everything in between. Choose capability with Ford, long-lasting reliability with Toyota, or smooth efficiency with Honda. Backed by friendly experts and financing options that fit your budget. Visit Performance Ford, Performance Toyota, and Performance Honda for your test drive. Browse inventory, check pricing, and schedule your visit at performancebountiful.com. Performance Automotive in Bountiful. Driven to be the best.
KSL News Time is 9:34. Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Let's check in again with Cormac Bone.
We do still have this crash eastbound on the 201 freeway, blocking not even the left shoulder, but just off on the left side of the road. They're in between both ways of the 201 freeway. We are seeing those delays still, just a little bit slow approaching 7200 west, but they've really cleared out after they've opened up both those lanes. Northbound Mountain View corridor still heavy and slow approaching 3500 south, and in Lehigh you do still have delays eastbound on Pioneer Crossing, but 2100 north seeing volumes decreasing. I-15, a problem-free drive between Ogden and Provo. With nutrients blended for greener, healthier turf in our local soil, IFA's 4+ Lawn Care program is the ultimate lawn owner power move. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather forecast today, a little cloudy, but the heat sticks around. In fact, highs in the low 70s today. Tomorrow, a little bit similar with some warmer temps up closer to 80. Wednesday, maybe 84. That would bust a record we just barely set last week. Right now, though, 54 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Okay, Holly, you acted a little bit surprised at this findings of this study, but Utah is we're not number one. I know you like to say we're number one. We're number two in the least stressed states in America. We're 49th out of 50 in terms of stress. This is from a study from Wallet Hub. The most stressed state is Louisiana. The least stressed is, I think, South Dakota.
I know, which is like, really?
Utah does really, really well in two categories. And they broke it down into 4 categories, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Work-related stress, money-related stress, family-related stress, and health and safety-related stress. Utah does very well, as you might expect. We're the best in family-related stress and do quite well in work-related stress.
Well, we have with us on the line Chip Lupo, Wallet Hub analyst, to help break it down. Thanks for joining us, Chip.
Morning, guys. I appreciate having me on.
So Greg kind of set it up a little bit, but what makes Utah the almost least stressed state in the nation?
Well, you broke down the 4 dimensions that we use to rank the 50 states, and they are work-related, money-related, family-related, health and safety-related. Utah is the best. But just to be clear now, we rank them from 1 through 50. So, and this is not the AP Top 25, so you don't want to be number 1 on this particular list. So Utah at 49, you can proudly say, yes, we're number 2. It was only behind South Dakota. But Utah ranks the best in family-related stress, and that encompasses such issues as, it has the lowest separation and divorce rate, cost of child care is okay at best. Now, you would argue that in a state like Utah, where there's emphasis on family, in a lot of cases there's really, in a lot of households, no need for child care. So that kind of balances itself out. Share of parents who have changed or quit jobs due to problems with child care, good numbers there. Also did well in work-related stress. And that kind of goes hand in hand, work and family, because Utah apparently does very well in work-life balance because they are the best in the average hours worked per week. Commute times are manageable, maybe not necessarily in the Salt Lake area, but the rest of the state seems to do pretty well as far as commute times. Job security, parts of Utah are booming job markets, and people seem pretty secure in their jobs. And also an income growth rate compared for the past 2 years. Utah's income is growing at a much higher rate than many of the other states.
So, Chip, we're seeing that Utah didn't do particularly well. In fact, we're in the bottom half in money-related stress. Can you tell us what some of the factors are in that consideration?
Yeah, it's interesting because while Utah is doing well in terms of income growth rate, it's also the Salt Lake City, also a hot real estate market, and sometimes that's pricing a lot of people out of the market. The median annual income is one of the best. But there are areas in terms of it's very high and rising in terms of personal bankruptcy. But also does very well. It's the second lowest share of population living in poverty. And even though incomes are growing, there's still a pretty high debt to median per median earnings in Utah, and the 8th worst in the country. So folks are acquiring a little bit more debt than their incomes will allow in a lot of cases.
So, Chip, in your experience, what are some recommendations you might have to people who are experiencing that kind of financial stress, or even how to prevent getting to that point?
Well, there's two separate things, but the easiest way to prevent it is to start out with creating a budget, a realistic budget, and sticking to it, and becoming more financial literacy. There's a financial literacy crisis in this country. Too many people don't even know how credit cards work, for example. You just plop it down and pay for it without any knowledge of how interest rates work, what happens if you make minimum payments. So some proactive things you could do there is definitely create a budget and make yourself financially literate, and make sure that you read terms anytime you enter in financial agreements, read all the fine print. But if you find yourself on the verge of some type of financial distress, reach out to your lenders. They'll work with you, whether it's in terms of a payment plan, maybe lowering interest rates, those types of things. But always be proactive in whatever situation, because what you want to avoid at all costs is bankruptcy, because if you file for personal bankruptcy, that will stay on your credit report for 7 to 10 years and make it very, very difficult to acquire credit in the future.
Last question, Chip. In the last category, health and safety-related stress, Utah's kind of close to the middle in that one, better than average. But what are the factors involved in that consideration?
Well, Utah ranks well in the number of the ratio of psychologists per capita. Utah is also very physically active. It's the third best in terms of the physical activity rate and in the share of adults in fair or poor health. Suicide rates are very low. Increase in the annual health insurance premium, that's a number that's about middle of the road, and it looks to be going up, and that may go hand in hand with some of the financial distress there. And Utah is slightly above average in the share of adults getting adequate sleep, getting those 8 hours in, 8 hours a night.
That surprises me.
That doesn't work in this room.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Chip. That was Chip Lupo with Wallet
My
Hub.
pleasure, guys. Thank you.
So, look, I have to say this, too. So when people are talking about reducing stress, one of the things that they can do is forest bathing. I really actually love it.
I've never heard of that.
Well, there's more from the AP. They call it nature bathing, but let's listen.
So forest therapy at its core is really a nature-based mindfulness activity. So it's actually a lovely way for people to reconnect with nature, to reconnect with aspects of themselves. I invite you to really spend the next 10 minutes just exploring this area, really focusing on your breath, on your footsteps, all the natural sounds around you, maybe the man-made sounds too. Thinking about the forest's natural rhythm. You know, in this day and age, there's a lot of stress and anxiety and chaos, and people are searching for ways to kind of cope with that.
I think it's important for people to take the opportunity to exist in natural spaces, both to unwind and relax so it can be easier to interact with other people, and to take a moment to appreciate beautiful things.
I have to say, Saturday, I had the pleasure of going up to a little ski resort in Idaho called Pomerel, mom and pop ski resort, 2 lifts, very small, beautiful venue, and we were immersed in nature. Of course, we were working, we were doing a clinic, but it was really, and just the drive up there was so enjoyable and so beautiful. You wanted to spend some time. Even as we were leaving, we're like, we need to come back here one day and just enjoy the entire experience up there.
So the first academic studies that I became aware of on forest bathing came out of Japan, and I had a friend one time who was teaching a class, and she had a number of students in the class, and she was talking about forest bathing, where you're surrounded by nature. It's what it sounds like there. But she did have a student raise their hand and say, "Does this mean I have to be naked?" No, it's not that kind of bathing. But there is something, and I think we don't necessarily need a study to know that there's things about going out in nature and being surrounded by the sounds, the smells, the sights, that can really do something for our stress levels. And we do have academic research to back it up. So I kind of love that.
Maybe bathing wasn't the right.
It's just, you can, maybe that was the translation as it came across from Japan, but forest bathing. So speaking of stress and stress reduction and happiness, the World Happiness Report is out, and it turns out that in the United States and Western Europe, we're not that happy. So this report is also raising another alarm about social media and its impacts. Stay with us over the break.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. I'm always talking about what a great place for your family NPS is to shop for anything. But with Easter right around the corner, NPS is absolutely perfect. All of those things you need, from the candies to the Easter baskets to decorations for your home, they're waiting for you at all 4 of the stores, Layton, Orem, and of course the 2 NPS stores right here in Salt Lake City on Empire. And don't forget the great specials that you're going to find every day, 20 to 70% off on everything every day, but you'll save even more with the in-store specials, and they differ day to day, and they differ in each and every store. Don't miss your opportunity to have a real shopping adventure. Find the treasures that await you and your family at NPS. NPS, a nice place to save.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word INBOX to 57500. That's INBOX to 57500.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Febreze. New Febreze Air Mist has 50% more odor fighters and up to 30% more fragrance than the old formula. So now you can take on 100% more stinky odors, like sweaty gym bags, greasy cooking smells, and the after effects of the dog rolling around in something. Just spray, and new Febreze Air instantly restores just clean freshness. Smell you later, odor. Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
How can you free your team from time-consuming office tasks? Amazon Business. Smart business buying tools enable buyers to find and purchase items fast so they can focus on strategy and growth. Free up your teams and focus on your future. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
This is Dylan Gunther of the Utah Mammoth. Scoring goals is what I do. Driving a BMW from BMW of Utah, that's how I roll. Proud to be a Utahn, drive elevated.
Hi, Grandma. What's for dinner?
Hey, honey, I'm making stew tonight.
Ooh, can Nina come over?
I'm not sure about our new friend. I wonder if there's been any drinking going on. Alcohol at her age can lead to so many bad things. I've been meaning to ask you, what would happen if someone offered you a drink?
Grandma?
This is hard. She's so young, but I know I need to talk to her about it now before someone tries to give her alcohol. If anyone ever does offer you a drink, I want you to say no. I have too much respect for my family, and I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay.
Really?
I promise, Grandma. I love you too.
Okay, how about tasting this stew and telling me what you think?
Some children may try alcohol as young as 9 years old. It's not too early to talk about drinking. For tips on how to begin the conversation, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. That's underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. This message brought to you by SAMHSA and this station.
My name is Tom.
My name is Cindy.
We give to and volunteer with United Way at our community free health clinic.
We know our time and money are going to the right places.
We don't just wear the shirt.
We live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources.
So I saw the World Happiness Report come out, and it showed that Finland, for the 9th year in a row, was the happiest nation in the world. But one of the things that was a huge takeaway for me, Greg, was this report said the harms of social media are now showing up on a global scale. That's important, right? That's an important conversation to have.
It's not a surprise either. The more and more and more we talk about it, especially with young people, adolescents, you can understand why it's causing so many problems.
You know what's really interesting is it's not ubiquitous, meaning it's not everywhere. In some places, the use of social media, or at least the use of the internet, is shown to increase happiness. But in the Western Europe and the United States, not so good. So we have with us Sarah Weaver, the editor of the Deseret News. Sarah, thanks for joining us to talk about this report.
Well, I am so happy to be here. And speaking of happiness, it really does depend on how you use your phone.
Yeah.
Right.
So tell us maybe a good way to use the phone. Or do you want to start just about talking about the overall look of happiness across the world?
Well, first of all, happiness seems to be increasing across the world. Many, many countries, in fact, 79, reported that their happiness levels were increasing, while 41 reported significant losses. Now, though, there's so many things that contribute to happiness, but not surprising is that people in war-torn countries said that their happiness levels were going down. People with happy families, societies where people have a lot of choice and trust in institutions have higher happiness levels. And so much of the data was not surprising at all.
Can you explain a little bit more about how social media affects happiness? And I guess we talked about it at the outset, but that is to say that with our younger generation, our younger people, they get so tied up in it that it's sort of contrary to helping themselves and helping themselves become more happy.
Well, and you know, I mentioned that there was a lot of things that felt very intuitive about this study. But the one thing that did not feel intuitive to me is that many young people would rather not use social media at all. Mm-hmm. You know, in the world, many adults take for granted that kids want to be on social media, but in this sample of U.S. college students, they found that the majority wished that social media platforms did not exist at all. Wow. The other thing that I think is interesting is that dosage matters. How much time someone spends on social media can actually impact their happiness levels. And that goes up with more time on social media. It also depends on how you use it. So it found some interesting things about certain generations. And the older you are, the more likely you are to love social media. And I think that's because you've already built connections. You already have relationships, and now you're using social media to enhance those relationships. So a lot of people from older generations are using they're using social media to enhance the relationships they made in real life. And the younger generations are just feeling this pressure and anxiety And you have to remember, algorithms are just dishing up content, and that also shows that can lead to further levels of unhappiness.
I wonder for those of us who are a little older too, if we care a lot less about like you have to look a certain way and act a certain way and dress a certain way. Like the younger generations, it feels like maybe are more susceptible to that, and you care less and less as you get older too.
Well, and this study did find that there are some overall harms to social media on a population level. Now, some of those can be sextortion, pornography abuse, cyberbullying, but also just things like greater levels of depression and anxiety. Mm-hmm. And so as a society, we're going to have to deal with some of these bigger issues if we want to keep our population safe.
You mentioned, Sarah, that 79 countries, and I'm looking at the study also that have gains in happiness, 41 losses, but most of what we call the Western countries have actually dropped.
Yeah, and that might be because of some of these high proliferation of technology. It might be going back to so many of us have phones. But the good news about this study is they also found that it doesn't need to depress us. You know, if we want to figure out how to help our children be happier, the key is to help them build connections. Mm-hmm. And so maybe that relates to countries that are more developed, maybe need to work harder at helping society build personal interactive connections.
So it's interesting to me that Australia has banned social media for kids under age 16. Mm-hmm. And we don't know yet for sure how that's working. But I just saw an article that the CEO of Pinterest said that all governments should ban social media for kids under age 16, which I think is super interesting, right? Because I can understand how it can be hard when you start to create a world wide web, right? If you've got connections in multiple countries that you know, maybe you've got friends that don't have this ban. But I do think it's interesting to see that there's a growing movement to maybe restrict that more and more.
Yeah, and Denmark, France, and Spain are planning similar restrictions. I really hope that these things can come to the U.S. You know, our governor has been a huge advocate to do bell-to-bell restrictions for the cell phones in schools, and it's because of all of these issues. If you're connecting to something that's not real, you're missing out on connections that are real.
It's probably no surprise, Sarah, that countries who are currently in conflict, war areas, and areas where there's just significant famine and things like that do much, much worse in terms of happiness.
Yeah, and in fact, most of the 8 countries that had the most significant drops were either experiencing some sort of war or some sort of major conflict. And that just is actually sad for all of us to contemplate that people are so anxious because they don't know what tomorrow will hold for them.
You know, and that's really especially troubling for young people. I mean, you feel bad for our young people worldwide, and I'm just sort of talking, not really asking a question, who are afraid, who are nervous, not comfortable with what the future holds.
Well, I think there's a lot of that. I did want to ask you really briefly about Costa Rica, because it popped up to the top, close to the top.
Yeah, and I wish I could tell you exactly what it was that stands out. But the best thing about this is that we know the most important thing is to limit social media. It's to use it in a way that is not passive. And so anyone who is just taking the content that's dished up to them and is a passive consumer of social media, they're going to have lower levels of happiness. Mm-hmm. And so if you can actively take charge of your social media, be very deliberate, be very intentional, and teach your children to do the same, then your level of happiness is going to go up.
I do want to add one note that I saw in the study, and it surprises people until you start to think about it, that kids who use social media more than 7.5 hours a day, they have worse mental health. And some people like 7.5 hours a day. That's so much time. And yet, if you think about a 6.5-hour school day, kids come home from school, the first thing they do is get on their phone or get on their device, and they're on it for not even until bedtime, right? But they can easily spend 8 hours a day on social media.
Well, and that study that you're referring to, it took place in 47 countries. Yeah. This is not isolated to the United States. This is a global phenomenon, and maybe the thing is kids need to get outside. They need to have real life interactions. They need to be challenged.
Forest bathing.
Right. Yeah, you're exactly right. Well, thanks, Sarah. That was Sarah Weaver, editor of the Deseret News, and thanks for joining us again today. It's sad that there's so many people, especially I think about young people. I think about my own experience in junior high and high school, just that time of your life when you're so scared about what's happening in the future, and today's young people with social media
on
and
top
like
of it.
Yeah. Well, President Trump has extended the deadline for Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz, but Iran has denied any negotiations, or at least limiting what they've said the negotiations have been. We'll bring you the latest with that when we come back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Salt Lake police are looking for a suspect after a man was shot in the lower legs while driving through Rose Park. He stopped at a Maverick gas station where he was treated until police arrived. Investigators are asking anyone with evidence or details about the shooting to give them a call. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. 2 people are dead and dozens were hurt when an Air Canada jet collided with a fire truck while landing on a runway at New York's LaGuardia International Airport. This man was on the plane.
Fear. I mean, it was pretty shocking. I didn't know what to expect. We were honestly sleeping and then landing, and then all of a sudden, boom, woke up in shock. Just didn't know what to do.
Port Authority officials say the fire truck was responding to a call for help from another plane that had a strange smell on board. The fire truck did get permission from traffic controllers to cross the runway. A small plane crashed in West Valley this weekend. It was around 4600 South and 6400 West. The pilot actually called police after the plane hit the ground. There were 2 passengers, including a child. Luckily, no one was injured. The cause of the crash is undetermined at this time. Your money at this moment, the Dow's up 796 points, but that's leveled off from some of the highs we were seeing a little bit earlier. Right now it's at 46,373. Coming up, another March heat wave headed our way. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Only one type of burger. For every pallet. Fries are extra. Large in size. We've got the shakes. Going over the brim.
Hey, this is Chris from JCW's. Put a positive, delicious spin on your day at any one of our 5 locations. In Lehigh, American Fork, Provo, South Jordan, or Harriman. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
I'm back to doing what I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you want to walk, play pickleball, and enjoy other fun activities to stay healthy, but you can't because of bad feet? Hi, this is Mike, and the Good Feet store wants to help.
I just had difficulty walking. I tried them on in the store, and my foot felt so much better.
Do you keep buying new shoes and inserts with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
Don't let bad feet, knees, or back problems get in the way of staying healthy and having fun.
Thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm bowling 3 nights a week.
Get back to doing what you love. At the Good Feet store, we'll personally fit you at high-quality arch supports to maximize your comfort. Stop in the Good Feet store or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU. Love where you bank. Let's check in again with Cormac Bone.
We are still seeing some light delays on the 201 freeway, both directions in Magna from 8,000 west to 7,200 west. But the crash is gone, cleared off the road, so no additional delays there. We do have eastbound delays in Lehigh, getting heavier on Pioneer Crossing. It starts just before 7,800 west, and it's slow and go until you get onto I-15. But on I-15, you shouldn't see any delays from Provo to Ogden, both directions. Don't miss the Rocky Mountain Gun Show at the Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy, March 28th and 29th. Get 500 rounds of 9mm ammo for just $85. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather forecast a pleasant 72 degrees for a high today, but then we get hot again with temperatures jumping up to 79 on Tuesday and 84 or higher on Wednesday, possibly setting another heat record for the month. Right now it's 55 degrees and cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, yesterday, President Trump issued a directive to Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz or there would be some serious attacks. Today, he appears to be backing down from that threat as apparently some negotiations may be going on. Here's ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers with the latest.
President Trump writes on social media Monday morning that the U.S. and Iran have had over the last 2 days, quote, very good and productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East. He says based on the tone and tenor of these, quote, in-depth, detailed, and constructive conversations, he's instructed the Pentagon to postpone any military strikes against Iranian power plants and infrastructure for a 5-day period. The president Saturday night had given Iran 48 hours to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, or else the U.S. would, quote, hit and obliterate their various power plants. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
I think one of the interesting things about this is that Iran has, first of all, they said, if you hit us, we're going to hit other countries here, and we're going after their energy infrastructure and water, especially desalination plants. And then they also responded today and said, we haven't had any conversations with the United States. So at some point, it appears that there may be conversations going on, but who knows what Iran is actually doing with the conversations.
Or what they look like, because we're even seeing today, Trump is reiterating that he's had very good communications with Iran, right, and that they're continuing these negotiations, and that's the reason he's forestalled this attack. He gave him 48 hours.
Totally possible that Iran may have some people speaking to the United States and not speaking to other people within the country. I don't know.
Right.
But I do know that the stock market was very happy to hear that news.
As soon as the news broke on social media that discussions were in the works on ending the conflict, the price of oil dropped. A barrel of Brent crude fell nearly 10% to just over $101 a barrel, down from nearly $120 at one point last week. The S&P, which is what most of our recently struggling 401ks are tied to, jumped nearly 2%, and the Dow climbed more than 1,000 points before dropping slightly to about 900.
So oil is down, stock market is up, but both are still well short of where they were a while ago. I mean, they're still not great numbers.
Yeah, today is day 23 of the Middle East conflict. By the way, that was ABC's Sherry Preston. Oh. But we're talking just about some of the comments that the president has made on social media, on his Truth Social, and expecting, in fact, as reporters asked him today, I think I heard a soundbite saying that he expected that they would talk by phone today because they're not exactly able to leave the country and come meet in person.
I think the administration is dying for an exit strategy in this and some concession from Iran. And Iran would be well to do something too. I mean, you can't just keep the strait closed off forever. I think Iran's logic in that was that the countries that are relying on that oil, especially Asian countries, might come to the United States and say, hey, knock it off. We need to get something going here. You need to stop this conflict because China and Japan get a lot of their oil from the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, that's right. And, the president, as you've mentioned, has said that there are negotiations that are ongoing. There will be additional ones today, hopefully. And he said, we're doing a 5-day period, meaning to not bomb their energy infrastructure, and we'll see how that goes. If it goes well, and this is a quote to a reporter this morning, if it goes well, we're going to end up settling this. Otherwise, we'll just keep bombing our little hearts out.
Yeah. And it's funny. You wonder if either side is telling the full truth or if there's something in the middle, because Iran is really downplaying communications and really downplaying that, hey, we don't have anything going on with the United States. We're not in talks with them. Where Trump is saying we had 2 days of great conversations and that's why I'm backing off. It seems consistent with the United States position that they must feel like there's some light at the end of the tunnel, but Iran's not confirming that at all.
At least not to this point. So I'm looking at a Wall Street Journal article talking about Abbas Araghchi. I hope that's how you say his name. He's Iran's top diplomat. He has become the chief messenger. As we know, most of their leadership has been killed. So he is a lead negotiator, and he's been resisting pressure to accept strict limitations on Iran's nuclear program. But we'll see, right, what the deal is that they come up with and where we land as these conversations move forward.
Yeah, and you wonder what the next step would be for the United States, because Trump said that he'll go in and destroy more of Iran's infrastructure if they don't do something within 48 hours, which has now passed. He's given them another deadline, or at least dropped it back for a little while, hoping that these negotiations will occur. And we talked about this last week, you and I, that I would think, just the lawyer in me, the negotiator in me, that you would get some country that could come and mediate this, or something as a part of the United Nations. There's got to be a way for everybody to get out of this in a fashion that makes, not anybody happy necessarily, but at least feel like something was accomplished here.
So that same person I was mentioning, Araghchi, he said, he talked to CBS News. He said, we did not start this war. It was an unprovoked, unwarranted, illegal act of aggression against us, and we continue to defend ourselves as much as it takes and as long as it takes in order to end this war in a way that it won't be repeated in the future. So again, I think there's a little bit of mixed messages. We're hopeful that there's an exit ramp. I think there's still some daylight between Iran and the United States.
And oil prices are set globally. So the fact that oil prices have gone down makes me think that the global markets are feeling more optimistic than maybe we're getting from the Iranian authorities.
It's still over $100 a barrel, though.
Right. No, it's still not. I'm not saying it's great, but they've gone down. The stock market is more regional to the United States, but oil prices are global, and the stock market's global too in some respects. But that's a sign that at least some people who think they know what's going on feel like there's some reason to believe that this conflict may be resolved before it gets worse.
Yeah, again, interesting conversation. And right now, we are not bombing their infrastructure, which I think is a good thing, especially when you're talking about civilian infrastructure, right? It's not just military targets. But we have 5 days for Iran and the United States to come to some point of agreement. President Trump has said there are 15 points of agreement between the U.S. and Iran after talks this weekend, and Iran's foreign ministry said there's no dialogue.
And there's this little 21-mile stretch of water in the Strait of Hormuz that is so small in the respect that Iran could block that pretty easily, but large enough that it's hard to just be able to bring ships through it and lead a convoy so you can get vessels through there that are containing oil.
I did see a news report this weekend that said that Iran said the Strait of Hormuz is opened to everyone except, quote, their enemies. So I don't even know what category that puts most of the world into, right? So it's like it's open to everybody except for 95%. Like, I don't know.
And it's mined. Like, it's open to anybody, but
it's mined.
Travel at your own peril.
And there are boats that do go out and they can launch a missile straight at your ship.
Yeah, so and insurance companies are saying we're not going to cover you if you go through the Strait of Hormuz. So ships are on both sides going, where do we go? What is there to do?
So we do have some updated numbers of deaths in Iran and Lebanon. They're now in the thousands. So in the United States, I think we're up to 13 American service members who have died in the line of duty. And an ongoing discussion still about boots on the ground with Marines. We'll see where that goes as well.
Let's
but
hope not.
Hopefully we do have an exit strategy and an off-ramp.
Right.
All right. So I love Hawaii. I know Utahns love visiting Hawaii, but right now the island state is suffering from the worst flooding in decades with more rain on the way. We're going to talk about Hawaii rain, Utah heat, and everything in between.
Hey, it's Brian with Olson's Greenhouse. In today's busy world, your home should be your sanctuary, a peaceful retreat where you can unwind, breathe deeply, and recharge. And what better way to create that haven than with flowers? A pop of color in your flower beds, a cheerful container garden by the front door, or a lush patio filled with vibrant blooms can transform any space into a personal oasis. Flowers don't just brighten up your home, they lift your spirits too. Research even shows that surrounding yourself with plants can reduce stress and boost happiness. At Olson's Greenhouse, we grow premium quality plants that make it easy to bring beauty and joy into your life. Whether you prefer bold, eye-catching colors or soft, soothing pastels, we have the perfect flowers to complement your space. And with locally grown plants, you know they're ready to thrive. This spring, create a sanctuary of color and comfort with flowers from Olson's Greenhouse. Find us on Instagram at Olson's Greenhouse Gardens or go to OGG.com to find a retailer near you. That's OGG.com for Olson's Greenhouse Gardens.
Are you stuck staring at your W-2? Are tax refund worries holding you back? You probably have FOMO, the fear of messing up. The fix? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. It's time to overcome your fear of messing up and get your taxes done right. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Drivers who switch their home and auto with Progressive could save money and time. Other things try to do this, but they really don't. Like the touchscreen at fast food places. It's not like you save time because it takes you longer to use a touchscreen than, I don't know, someone who works there. And another thing, you'd think it would save money because they're not paying a cashier, right? But no, same price. Also, why is there an option to tip? Who am I tipping? Exactly. Anyway, even if you can't save money and time with some things, you could with a Progressive home and auto bundle. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers, not available in all states or situations.
I was ordering food from our usual place for the big meeting. My VP said, please God, no.
For workplaces suffering with corporate catering deficiency, every day's a struggle.
The food was always meh and over budget. Before Easy Cater, I thought that was normal.
Easy Cater is designed to treat CCD with a huge variety of restaurants, help meet dietary needs, and stay on budget. Used daily, one platform lets you save time and thrive. Ask your web browser about Easy Cater or start an order at easycater.com.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZzzQuil Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZzzQuil Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
Every day here in Utah, people turn to KSL News Radio for one simple reason: trust. Trust for our reporters, hosts, our coverage, and trust in the businesses heard right here. I've met so many of our listeners over the years, and they'll tell you KSL is part of their daily routine, in the car, at work, at home. And when they hear your business here, it carries the weight of that trust. It isn't just another ad. It's a recommendation coming from a reliable source. When you advertise on KSL News Radio, you reach a loyal, highly engaged audience who listens intentionally. They show up for breaking news, accurate information, and meaningful conversations. And because of that connection, they respond. And when you pair our on-air credibility with digital tools like display advertising, social media, streaming audio, search, geo-targeting, and retargeting, you get a full funnel strategy that works and reaches the right people at the right time. Get marketing that truly moves the needle. Partner with the voice Utah trusts. KSL. Learn more at kslnewsradio.com/advertise.
My name is Ariel. When I arrived in the U.S. at 19, I struggled to find job opportunities without my high school diploma. My entire life changed when I took a chance and got my high school diploma at age 22. Everything I have, my education, my career, my marriage, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and my teachers. They were with me every step of the way, helping with my English and math, making sure I pushed through all the challenges.
Ariel, your success proves that what I'm doing as a teacher has real meaning.
It was an honor helping you achieve your greatness. Now you're helping others achieve theirs. It inspires me.
Education was the key that unlocked all my opportunities.
When you graduate, they graduate. Find free and supportive adult education centers near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
Well, we're dying for some water here in Utah, but the island state of Hawaii is having its worst flooding in decades, and more rain is on the way. They're having the worst flooding they've had in over 20 years. ABC News meteorologist Danny Beckstrom has the latest.
Hawaii under catastrophic flooding from more than a week of relentless rain. Thousands forced to evacuate.
Careful.
Entire neighborhoods submerged. More than 200 people rescued from fast-moving floodwaters. The governor activating the National Guard.
This is the largest flood that we've had in Hawaii in 20 years.
Muddy floodwaters swamping Oahu's North Shore, the world-famous surfing destination. Raging currents lifting homes and cars, forcing 5,500 people north of Honolulu to evacuate.
So, look, I just want to share some of my family's connection to the islands. So, I am not Hawaiian. However, my dad was born there, and he was 9 days old when Pearl Harbor was bombed. He was living. His mom, his dad was a civilian ship worker he was a civilian down in Pearl Harbor. His mother hid with him under the bed when Pearl Harbor was under attack, and she did not hear from her husband for 3 days. So she has this little newborn baby, right? And they ended up leaving the state, and they went to Bremerton, Washington, where my grandmother became a Rosie the Riveter, right, going and working in the shipyards. So later on, my father and my mother met at what was then the Church College of Hawaii. It's now BYU Hawaii.
Right.
So we have this like long family history. Then I have a son who served in LDS mission there. I have a daughter who graduated in Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And he was from Kazakhstan. He looks very Asian, and so everybody thought he was a local boy. He was not. In fact, they said, "Why are you a local boy with a haole name or a white person name?" Right. And then my daughter graduated from BYU Hawaii, and she has a lot of friends who are still there. And so we're watching.
You have a lot of ties to
We
Hawaii.
do have a lot of ties, yeah. And so we're watching this flooding and just really incredible amounts of rain. There are new waterfalls, right, that have popped up, and they're really beautiful, but they're also really dangerous.
Well, some cleanup efforts are underway, but the flood watches still remain.
Cleanup efforts now underway after that historic flooding on Oahu. Governor Josh Green saying the storm could cost upwards of $1 billion.
This is going to have a very serious consequence for us as a state.
Water levels of the 120-year-old Wahiawa Dam stabilizing after fears it would fail. Evacuation orders lifted, but flood watches remain for most of the islands. The heavy rain is wrapping from west to east, which means Kauai's been dropped from the flood watch. But for islands like Maui and the Big Island, we still could see several more inches of rain before this wraps by the middle of the week.
It seems like there are areas and parts of Hawaii where it's almost always raining, but not
Yeah.
pouring. It's just that kind of misty rain that you see.
Well,
and it's
yes,
almost enjoyable.
there's a reason it's tropical, right?
Yeah, right, right.
But they got feet of rain, which is just incredible. Like my brain can't process feet of rain in just a couple of days. So I wanted to say this. I saw this news article because I told you we have all these ties. So I do follow news from Hawaii. And this one is just, a regular news source. And they start off with information about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Maui, contributing lots of food to the Maui Food Bank. So I think that's another thing that you see. And this is what you'll see, I think, anytime there's any kind of natural disaster, whether it's Hawaii or Utah or anywhere else, is that the people come together to try and provide help. So in this particular article, it was members of the Church of Jesus Christ putting together supplies. And then they had to make a long drive across the island, and they couldn't take the highway because the highway was closed. So they, again, were there to help with food and the food pantries. I know on Oahu, there's different areas. So you've got the Honolulu area where you've got most of the tourists, but you also have up in Laie, the North Shore, where you've got surfing, but you also have BYU Hawaii and the Polynesian Cultural Center. They've lost a lot of power on the islands, and so even yesterday, the Polynesian Cultural Center is closed on Sundays, but they had some of their food trucks were open to feed local residents who weren't able to get food for themselves. So lots of people coming together to help.
Yeah, and just the way nature works and doesn't work on the island of Maui, they're still reeling from the 2023 wildfire, so they don't have some of the infrastructure from nature to contain the water, and they've got these retention basins that are near capacity. There's a dam that's 120 years old in Oahu that could fail. They think that it may burst. I mean, this is a significant amount of water, right?
Yeah, and so as that stabilizes, as we heard that it's stabilizing, I don't know enough about Hawaiian politics to know if they're going to go look at retrofitting that dam or something. But that's a huge concern when you say, hey, mandatory evacuation because a dam could burst. That's concerning, right? That's concerning.
Yeah, and probably not very good for the tourist industry right now either. People are probably not going to Hawaii because if you don't.
Well, I don't know. I would still go. But I might have to take a different route, right?
And it's such a 180-degree pivot from what we're experiencing here in Utah. We had record temperatures last week. We have record. I think this winter was our record warmest, and the snowpack this year was just awful.
I read stuff over the weekend that said our snowpack is mostly melted. Like we've already passed the high and are coming back down the other side when March is supposed to be one of the months where we get the most snow. It's not happening. So the same weather pattern that led to a Kona low out over the Pacific has been building up a high pressure and heat dome over the western part of the country.
Places like Phoenix, every day this week, potentially breaking daily records, maybe monthly records being set in places like Las Vegas by the middle part of the week, Salt Lake City included, and that heat will be spreading off to the east into the plains as well. Denver, Oklahoma City, Dallas, 90s by the middle of the week.
And we were talking last week about Arizona expecting a record high temperature, what would be the record high in April last week. They were getting a March temperature that would have been the April high, record high.
Well, last week we broke our monthly high, and then we broke it again on Saturday. So we broke it twice. We might break it again this coming week. So here's KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson on what's happening.
In Salt Lake City proper, we hit a high of 84 this last Saturday. That set the new monthly record for all-time hottest in March to 84 degrees, crushing the old record of 80 degrees set back on March 31st of 2012. One of the most amazing feats with this heat wave is that it was multiple days in a row of record heat, and a few of them, 2 or 3 in a row, we were breaking the all-time high day after day. Just incredible heat, and to break an all-time high by 4 degrees in the month of March for Salt Lake is quite impressive. To beat it by that margin, we've got another run at it by this Wednesday, if you can believe it, thanks to high pressure and some southerly flow. Again, warming trend through first half of the week, topping out on Wednesday at 84. That would tie the new all-time record high, which was set this last Saturday. If we push 85, we would break the all-time March high in Salt Lake City for a third time during this heat wave.
Just in the area that I live in the Ogden Valley, there are 3 ski resorts. Nordic Valley, which was only open for maybe 3 or 4 weeks all year, and it just dry as a bone. You look at that resort, it's dry.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Snow Basin closed for the season.
Yep.
In March, are you kidding? And then we announced at our mountain, Powder Mountain, that we're closing this next Sunday, which again is a March closing. And the thing is, these ski resorts plan their seasons in advance so that tourists can book hotels and accommodations.
Sure.
Because if you're coming from the East Coast or from another country, you say, okay, I want to book a hotel, April 2nd and 3rd to go skiing. And we've talked about this in the past. Matt Johnson's even told us March is usually our best snow month. So it's safe to book a trip usually toward the end of March because you're going to get a lot of good snow.
Right.
But not this year. In fact, people are probably going to try to cancel their rooms now.
Well, so I'm looking at an article about Salt Lake, Utah-based ski resorts that have closed. And there are some that are trying to hang on, I think, because of those guests that might be coming in. So Snowbird is hoping to hang on until almost Memorial Day. It's like, really? Good luck.
Yeah.
Right? Good luck. Anyway, so
I've skied snowboard on the 4th of July.
Are you serious?
Yeah, really.
Wow.
This year we'll be
Not
lucky
this year.
to make it to the 4th of May. I mean, it's that bad.
Look, I think it really brings up a real concern about what we're facing for the summer.
Right. And when we come back after the break, we're going to talk about what we're facing for this summer and a very dry winter and a very warm spring and what that means. If you're thinking about turning on your sprinklers, don't do it. Let's talk to an expert when we come back about when you should start thinking about watering your lawn, because right now
we're 6
it's
weeks out,
too
baby.
early, and just let it ride for a little while. I think we're still going to get some moisture, so turn off the sprinklers.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour: police are investigating a fatal officer-involved shooting that happened in Sandy. Police say they were called out to a home near Shady Meadow Drive yesterday to respond to a domestic violence incident. Sandy Police Sergeant Michael Olson says officers made contact with a man in his 40s who they say pulled out a weapon and charged at them. Olson says the officers fired 4 shots, at least 2 of which hit the man.
The male was transported by paramedics to a local hospital and has since been pronounced deceased.
The 2 officers who fired their weapons are being placed on administrative leave while a third-party department investigates the shooting. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump says he's giving Iran 5 more days to open the Strait of Hormuz, or else the U.S. military will start bombing Iranian power and water plants. He originally gave them a deadline of today, but says he made the change after negotiations yesterday turned productive.
We have major points of agreement. I would say almost all points of agreement. Perhaps that hasn't been conveyed. The communication, as you know, has been blown to pieces. They're unable to talk to each other. But we've had very strong talks. Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner had them. They went, I would say, perfectly.
Iran's state media says there have been no talks and that the U.S. caved after Iran threatened to attack U.S. infrastructure. Your money at this moment: the Dow's up 796 points today to 46,373. Coming up, we could set another heat record for March this week. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Join us for one of the premier horse sales in the region. Over 80 head of quality performance horses will be offered, including ranch horses, rope horses, prospects, and trail horses. Located Wasatch County Event Center in Heber City, Utah. On March the 27th and 28th, trail competition and preview begin at 9 a.m. The tax sale will be at 6 o'clock that night on Friday the 27th. The auction begins at 11 a.m. on Saturday the 28th. Whether you're looking for your next arena partner or a dependable ranch horse, this sale has something for everyone. Family-friendly atmosphere, top-quality consignments, opportunities for every level of rider. Don't miss your chance to find your next great horse. For information, consignments, and sale detail, contact Heber Valley Horse Sales or call me at 801-368-5498 or go to our website, HeberHorseSales.com. That's HeberHorseSales.com. Mark your calendar and be there Friday and Saturday, March 27th and 28th.
Think about this. In 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at the spot price. At today's prices, those 33 ounces would be worth over $150,000. Smart Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals. That's why I buy gold from Birch Gold Group. It's a crucial part of my balanced strategy. Gives me peace of mind given all the events that could impact the U.S. economy. See if holding gold in a tax-sheltered retirement account is right for you too. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. Just text my name, Dan, to the number 989898 to receive your free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold help you diversify with gold. Now that's peace of mind. Text Dan to 989898. Again, text my name, Dan, to the number 989898 today. Message and data rates apply.
You deserve a home that's truly your sanctuary. Why are you waiting? Dreammaker Bath and Kitchen helps turn someday into today. A space that works and feels like you. Because design and build live under one roof, your remodel experience stays organized. From the first discovery consultation to the final walkthrough, with one team from start to finish. You deserve a home that you can truly be happy in. And that's possible right now. A clear, structured timeline keeps guesswork out of your kitchen or bath project, and it starts with your budget and a fixed price. Then the detailed plan begins with smart and stylish selections, so you know exactly what to expect. Dreammaker Bath and Kitchen is built on integrity and customer focus, and that shows up in the little things. Clean job sites and proactive updates that keep you fully in the loop. Back nationally and 3 locally owned Wasatch Front locations. Schedule a consultation at dreammaker-remodel.com. That's dreammaker-remodel.com. Enhancing lives, improving homes. dreammaker-remodel.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at UCCU.com. You looking at any delays, Cormac?
Well, not really. Nothing out of the ordinary. We don't have any accidents to report, so no out of the ordinary delays. I-15 is a clean, calm drive between Ogden and Provo, both directions. Really, the only heavy delays we have is eastbound Pioneer Crossing in that construction zone. It starts near 7800 West, and it's pretty heavy and slow until you get onto I-15. But again, on I-15, no major delays. With nutrients blended for greener, healthier turf in our local soil, IFA's 4+ Lawn Care program is the ultimate lawn owner power move. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather forecast, cloudy and 72 degrees today. Then another high-pressure system moves in. KSL Weather Center telling us that we'll jump up to 79 on Tuesday and then 84 or higher on Wednesday, possibly setting a new heat record for the month. Right now, it is 57 degrees and cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
I think I just heard Andy Farnsworth say we're having another heat wave this week. We may experience another record temperature. Last week we got into the 80s. I think Matt Johnson said that we got to about 83. This week they're thinking 84, 85. I always try to do everything I can not to turn on my sprinklers until June 1. It's just a personal thing for me. No sprinklers until June 1st. Of course, I live up in the hills, up in the Ogden Valley, so we're a little bit higher than Salt Lake and some of the Wasatch Front cities, so we can go a little bit longer. But, you know,
I have secondary water down in Pleasant Grove where I live, and so that's what I rely on. Is it turns on May 1st, right, and then off, I think, October 1st or October 15th, something like that. But one of the things that's interesting to me, right, is if my lawn, it usually comes out of spring looking pretty good. If it's coming out of March and mid-April looking pretty bad, I think I probably would be tempted to turn on sprinklers.
Right.
But Cynthia B. is here to tell us why we should not do that. Cynthia, you're with Utah Waterways, and I'm really happy to talk to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. You know, this is kind of an unprecedented year for weather, so everyone's curious, like, what should I do? And we found that, you know, most Utahns want to do what's the right thing for everybody, but it can be hard to know year to year. Generally, we ask people to wait until Mother's Day to begin regular irrigation. So if we go with a long dry patch between now and then, you might need to run one cycle and then flip it back off. But what we want to really be careful about is to start that regular watering too early. You know, we could start, I mean, if anyone started now, you'd be looking at spending an extra 15 to 20,000 gallons of water unnecessarily in drought year. And that's for every, that's an average across every property that started too soon.
So, Cynthia, are you giving the same advice this year, notwithstanding the poor water that we got during the winter and the warm temperatures that we're getting now? Are you still holding out hope and advising people to maybe hold off until that day that you just described? Was it Mother's Day?
So I would say, hold off as long as you can. One of the advantages of waiting, so this is when we build resilience, is this time of year, because if the lawn doesn't get that extra water, it's going to go deeper into the soil profile. It's going to grow deeper roots to try to go after that water. We want our lawns doing that. We want to get the longest root system on that grass that we can so it can deal with whatever's coming, right? So this is your chance to really build some resiliency in. And if we water too soon and we make it too cushy, that lawn will be less water efficient the entire season, regardless of what kind of turf you have.
Can I ask you maybe a broader question about landscaping? I know you are an expert in xeriscaping and other things. What can people do to really make their whole outside area maybe more water efficient?
Yeah, so we really want to get down to where in northern Utah, you're looking at no more than 20 to 30% lawn is the percentage of your landscape. So it's not that we're trying to get rid of all lawn, but we really want to treat it like it's our highest water user, right? So it needs to be kind of that special focus, that recreation surface. But studies show that no matter how much lawn you have, the typical family is using 1,500 to 2,000 square feet, and that's pretty much it. So we want to kind of scale that back. So what I would tell people to do is look at the parts you're not using and let's turn it into something else. So a park strip flip is an obvious. For most of us, the side yard's just a pass through from the front to the back. We could actually put in a path and some plantings and make that more efficient. And then thinking of things like, creating more seating areas, more outdoor activity areas that don't require that work and water. And if you balance those kinds of spaces that need work and water against spaces that don't, that's how you can bring down your maintenance while also improving your water efficiency.
So, Cynthia, what can you tell our homeowners who do keep some strips of lawn? They have kids, they have pets, they have whatever, and they do want to have some grass to keep the amount of water that they're going to be using down. I hear different stories about water every other day, water twice a week. We even heard some people say last week water once a week. And I know maybe it differs with different parts of the state, but what do you tell homeowners about watering their lawns?
So generally, it kind of follows temperature a little bit in a typical year. We're a little bit nervous this year because we're not expecting to get a lot of runoff. So we're basically credit card spending for the water that we're using this year. And so what I would tell you in a typical year and what I would tell you this year is going to be a little bit different. I would just say let go of the whole it's going to be emerald green all season idea for this year. Keep it going. You don't need to let it die. We don't need to be that extreme. But be willing to accept a little less. So I would say that in the peak of summer in July, you may need to water 2 times a week. In a typical year, I might tell you 3. This year, I'm going to tell you a little less because it's concerning. I would prioritize, honestly. I would prioritize my trees and shrubs. And as the plants get smaller, you'd worry about those a little bit less. So if we get to where we have some restrictions, and that is very possible this year in much of the state, your priority should be those trees and shrubs. It's easy to replace a lawn if you had to. It's really hard to replace a tree with 20 years of growth.
Yeah. I'm wondering if you could tell us also about cities. So last week when we were talking about this, we had a texter say, I tried to do my part when the city said there were restrictions, and then they got a citation because their lawn had gone brown. Are you working with cities also so that you get that kind of cooperation?
That's a great question, and I do think that you'll see some of that coordination this year, and some of it is just an education process for cities as well, right? So that you've got kind of consistency across how all of that's being applied. But it's going to be really important this year. And you're also, the advantage too for those that are looking to make a change is that they've greatly extended the eligible areas for those landscape incentive programs. So there's a couple of programs that listeners can take advantage of to help offset the cost of making these changes. The first thing applies to anybody, and that's that you can get a smart controller. And that's been made possible through funding from the legislature that comes through Water Resources. And it essentially ties your system into current conditions, so you don't have to constantly have it top of mind yourself. It ties into the closest weather center to your home, and then it will override your system based on real weather conditions. So let's say it's too windy, and any water you put on is just going to blow into the negative yard or into the atmosphere and evaporate. It will delay your system until the winds get under a certain amount, so that ensuring that water is going where you had intended. So there's lots of ways to, that's one way to make it easier. And then for those landscape incentives, anyone that's willing to remove some living lawn, like we talked about, those smaller park strips, or do the whole yard or whatever they're looking to do, they can get up to $3 a square foot. It varies a little bit by area and the number of different service providers that are contributing money towards that. But most of the state qualifies to receive some assistance, in that turf buyback program.
Okay, so how do people find out about that? Because I'm personally interested.
Right.
Yeah, you would go to slowtheflow.org, and that's the on-road for any of those programs. They vary a little bit by area, so you'll go in, you'll put your area in, and then it will tell you what's available to you. There is a little bit of a process to it, so I would tell people, don't wait until you're ready to do something. Get in there right now, get your program or get your project approved, and then you can remove that lawn. So it is a lawn buyback. That means you got to have something to sell, and that thing that you're selling is living lawn. So we definitely would tell people to get started sooner rather than later. And you do have an entire year. So I completed my own final project last year. It's taken me years to do mine as well. So, for most of us, we've got to do a project at a time. But because it's going to be such a hot, dry year, I would get in early, get your project approved, and then I would use solarization to take out some lawn. And that's just a natural process, mostly natural, where you apply clear plastic over the lawn area and let the power of the sun kill what you're going to remove. And then that's all lawn you're not watering this season, and you have a whole year to complete your project. So that way you wouldn't even have to reinstall this year. You could wait till next spring if you needed to, if things get really bad.
All right. Thanks so much. That was Cynthia B. with Utah Waterways. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some really befuddling Gen Z habits. Stay with us.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline, so I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Veterans and active duty service members, when your call to service ends, your mission doesn't have to. Go from GI to IT in just a few months at My Computer Career. Prepare for a high-demand career in cybersecurity, protecting people, systems, and institutions from real cyber threats. Cyber warriors are needed now. Will you answer the call? Go to mycomputercareer.edu/CWP to learn more. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
Does your home have peeling paint or faded colors? Don't procrastinate. You need to protect your home with quality paint and a worry-free process, so make an appointment with CertaPro Painters. You quickly get a free estimate that's detailed, easy to understand, and then their trusted local professionals will bring fresh color to your home with quality craftsmanship at the right price. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated, so schedule your free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. CertaPro.com.
Join KSL News Radio and The Movie Show this Friday from 10 to 1 at the Layton NPS Store, 1150 North Main Street, and LaytonNPSStore.com.
Calling all jazz fans. If you can't wait another second to see stars like Ace Bailey and Lowry Markkanen tear up the court, you're in luck. Tickets are on sale now. Let's go! No matter what you're looking for, the Utah Jazz has your back. With season tickets, mini plans, and single game options available, there's something for everyone. Whatever your schedule or budget, there's a plan for every fan. Don't miss a moment of the action this season. Secure your tickets today at UtahJazz.com.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Hi, it's Tori DeVito. In every family, small conversations can make a big impact. I grew up on tour with my parents. Kind of different, but we bonded over music just like other families do over sports, camping, or other interests. And we talked. Little everyday conversations from silly to serious that built a foundation over time. Honest conversations, like when my dad shared his experiences as an alcoholic.
Your honesty about that part of your life gave me a sense of integrity that I wanted to uphold in my own life. And I was so grateful that you and Mom had become these sober, stable people who were always there for me.
I wanted you to know from someone who's been in recovery more than 30 years now that hard work is what creates success, not alcohol or other drugs, whether it's music or anything else. I said it a lot, and I'm glad you took it to heart.
Talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Hi, this is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Every 2 minutes, another American is sexually assaulted. If you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, you are not alone. Help is just a call or click away through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Please call 1-800-656-HOPE, that's HOPE, or visit RAIN.org, that's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAIN and this station.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Inside Sources.
Well, the Washington Post recently highlighted some Gen Z habits, and Gen Z's got to be the quirkiest generation of our day. These are people that were born between 1997 and 2012, so they're very young. Some of the oldest might remember George Bush. The youngest grew up with an iPad.
At restaurants.
At the restaurant. So, yeah, I mean, this is a sort of a niche group, but they have some really strange habits. True.
So it's only strange to old people like us, I'll just say, right? Okay. So here's one of the things that I've noticed, and we have with us Cameron Elliott in studio because he fits right in there in Gen Z. We're raising a granddaughter. She's 11. She's Gen Alpha, and she loves to tell us that because she loves Alpha. But one of the things that I've noticed, and maybe this is something that has trickled down from Gen Z, is her like, if I call her, she will answer but not answer. Like, she'll pick up the phone, or it's actually her tablet, right? She'll push connect, and then she won't say anything. And I'll be like, hello? So this Washington Post article says Gen Z has a strained relationship with greetings.
I would say, I mean, you know, it's kind of uncool to be sitting there saying hello like our forefathers. And I'd say it comes with, you know, the revelation of telephones, because back in the day you didn't know if somebody had picked up until they gave you a verbal confirmation. But nowadays, iPhones, they'll tell you this person has picked up and you're connected to them. Sometimes I'm guilty of it. I'll start talking when I can tell that they've picked up and before they've even said hello.
Cam, you're kind of a quirky guy on a good day, but I'm just wondering how much of it is you and how much of it is this Gen Z. So tell us some other things specific to, like, addiction to headphones.
I think that this is definitely something, and this is absolutely something that I'm guilty of, is it doesn't matter what's playing. I think it fits in with, like, the overstimulation kind of thing. You've always have to have something going. You know, it's an audiobook, it's music, it's a YouTube video. I know people who watch TikTok while they drive. I won't say their name specifically because they'd be very unhappy with me, and they might be in the studio right now. But you've always got to have something going on, and I think the headphones help with that. When you have to be looking at something, but you also want to be hearing something.
But doesn't that sort of make you unaware of your surroundings when you're You know what I mean? Like, I like to have my head on a swivel, and I think headphones and things like that would just.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I can be unaware without headphones.
There
You know,
you go,
I can
right.
be blissfully unaware any time of day.
So,
I've noticed that.
So I have a question for you related to that. Do you? So I'm going to put you on the spot. You're representing all of Gen Z.
Good.
Are you uncomfortable with silence?
Yes and no. I think it's just one of those things where these days we're trained away from silence. We can't have it because I think honestly, and this might reflect poorly on being in such an audio medium, but like silence is money. When you're not hearing something, you're not making money for somebody, and I think that's why that kind of stimulation thing is so overbearing, because you need to be listening to music, you need to be listening to a commercial. You have to capitalize on every second, and I think that relationship between kind of making money and online usage and Gen Z is so married now.
This isn't part of the study necessarily, Cam, but I'm just going to ask you this, just because I know you personally. Is Gen Z optimistic about the future? Are you guys? I mean, housing prices and wages and things like that, and just overall what's going on in the country. Tell me what you think the overall feeling of Gen Z is right now about the future.
It's bad. It's
Okay.
really bad. You know, I mean, I hate to say it. I kind of try to steer away from doomerism just because I think that it's so, you know, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy at the end of the day. If you think things are going to go bad, then you're going to put your headspace into a place where things will go bad, and that's just the way it is. But personally, I think that I do know a lot of people who are working very hard to kind of bring things back with an eternal hope that house prices will come down again. We won't be seeing such high, gas, grocery, what have you. But would I say that the general ticker goes towards bad? I would say yes. But everyone's like that.
I mean, I think it's certainly a conversation. So let me ask you this. I've seen this in my kids as well, and I've seen it in some of the kids that I teach at the university level. You don't like uppercase letters or punctuation, really.
I don't understand what you mean by that.
Like you don't capitalize anything. And they don't use punctuation.
It's a civil war, for sure, because I know a lot of people who are about it. I know people, because obviously most phones these days, they'll capitalize for you, they'll clean up after you, but I know people who will go into their settings and turn it off.
Wow.
They don't want anything to do with capital letters
Why?
or punctuation. I think they think that it's a little chuggy to put, like,
I don't
emphasis.
even know what that word means.
It's like for older folks to put emphasis on their words and on their, if you're excited about something, you'll type in all caps, exclamation point be darned.
All caps is shouting. That's what I learned. If you're all caps, that's yelling at you. But no caps just seems like.
It just seems like
know,
email addresses
lazy.
and things like that. You don't want to have caps. You confuse things if you.
Well, but with no punctuation and then with abbreviations, you get into these weird, like, I don't even know what you're trying to tell me.
Abbreviations are definitely, because that started with millennials, because it was so hard to type with the,
right.
You don't want to do the whole thing. But now I see people use abbreviations that I don't even know, and it's not so much that it's more of like a tick. It's like a typing tick where they won't use it as like shortening up something, like a message, like saying I'm on my way. You type OMW.
Yeah.
They'll use it as just like a form of greeting or a form of emphasis on their words. Like it doesn't really mean anything these days.
And another sort of form of condensing information is emojis. I mean, you used to have like the generation before you had LOL or whatever. Now it seems like they use emojis, which I completely don't understand. I mean, there's some on my phone, but I never know if they're offensive or not. But
so don't use them if you don't know.
What's with the emojis?
I mean, it's it's in the eye of the beholder, really. I think. I mean, because I thought about this the other day. These days, Gen Z, if you wanna show that something was really, really funny, would you use the crying laughing emoji? Absolutely not. You use the skull emoji because it tells people I'm dead, as in it was so funny that you've killed me. So when something is hilarious, you use the skull emoji.
Ah, dang it. I just learned something, I guess.
That's maybe more descriptive than LOL.
Well, and LOL, so one of the things that I think is funny, and this is older generation than me, because LOL is supposed to mean laugh out loud, but some people, like my parents' age, will use it to mean like love you lots, and then it's like totally inappropriate sometimes, right?
Yeah, you don't want to be LOLing
I just went to
at a
Uncle
funeral.
Danny's funeral, LOL.
Right, yeah.
So look, I watched the Emoji Movie. I thought that was a good one, but that's confusing to me. And do you find then in Gen Z? So I'm seeing the Washington Post say you've got a complicated relationship with it because they change. The meaning can change so frequently. Are you finding that as a Gen Zer?
I steer away from emojis in their entirety, unless you're going to find a lot of people these days where emojis, they started cool, then they became uncool, and now they're cool again, but only in an ironic way where you'll use emojis that are just like totally out of left field. Like you'll, to communicate, something is super cool, so you'll say it's on top, and they use the top emoji. Or people will just use totally in their usernames, they'll put like a little star and a little thing of a flower and a little bunny rabbit because that's like their aesthetic. Like they're very cutesy. Fluffy, exactly.
Okay, so Holly and I, when we were 15 and a half, were doing whatever we could to get a driver's license.
Right, exactly.
I notice a lot of Gen Z people are like 20 and a half and still don't have their driver's license. Is it just not as important?
It's funny, I guess, because, well, obviously back in the day, it was much less important to have that FaceTime. I think that definitely factors into it, but I think that there's also like a sort of ambivalence built into it because putting effort into anything at all isn't cool. Like standing outside cleaning your Thunderbird or whatever, is that accurate? Did you have a T-Bird growing up, or was it?
No.
I had a Comet.
My dad let me drive the family VW van.
Very cool. But standing outside, cleaning your car, that was cool back in the day. But now it's just like, well, they don't clean their car. They're too cool to clean their car. They're too cool to drive.
Oh, well, we've learned a lot here, Cam. Thank you for joining us. That was
confusing.
Our resident Gen Z expert, Cameron Elliott, who is part of Gen Z and always has a lot to say and has a great personality about it.
I know that's something you're not supposed to say, right? Bless your hearts.
Yes, right, yeah.
All right, well, thanks so much. Look, when we come back, we're going to talk about former FBI Director Robert Mueller. He died over the weekend. He was 81 years old. And, the president had some interesting comments after that. We're going to talk about that when we come back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Heather Peterson. KSL's top story this hour. Former BYU football player Parker Kingston made another appearance in a Washington County courtroom today. He's accused of sexually assaulting a woman in St. George just over a year ago and has since been charged with felony rape. Today, the state agreed to let Kingston remove his ankle monitor, but Judge Jay Winward made two things clear when he spoke directly to Kingston.
You cannot be on social media. You cannot return to Washington County without permission. Do you understand? Yes, sir.
Kingston's scheduled to return to court next Thursday. There, the judge will decide whether there's enough evidence for the case to go to trial. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. ICE agents are now deployed at several airports across the U.S. It's the Trump administration's answer to the long lines at airports from TSA officers who've called out sick during the partial government shutdown. President Trump says the ICE agents shouldn't wear masks at the airport.
The people coming into the airport, typically speaking, aren't murderers, killers, drug dealers, etc. There may be a few of them, but there are many. They're people that want to come into the country, or that people want to leave the country, go into maybe their home country. So I didn't think it was an appropriate look for an airport.
Salt Lake City was not on the initial list of airports where ICE would be deployed. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 656 points, the S&P is up 77, and the NASDAQ is up 277. Coming up, it's just going to get hotter and hotter this week. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Every day here in Utah, people turn to KSL News Radio for one simple reason: trust. Trust for our reporters, hosts, our coverage, and trust in the businesses heard right here. I've met so many of our listeners over the years, and they'll tell you KSL is part of their daily routine, in the car, at work, at home. And when they hear your business here, it carries the weight of that trust. It isn't just another ad. It's a recommendation coming from a reliable source. When you advertise on KSL News Radio, you reach a loyal, highly engaged audience who listens intentionally. They show up for breaking news, accurate information, and meaningful conversations. And because of that connection, they respond. And when you pair our on-air credibility with digital tools like display advertising, social media, streaming audio, search, geo-targeting, and retargeting, you get a full funnel strategy that works and reaches the right people at the right time. Get marketing that truly moves the needle. Partner with the voice Utah trusts. KSL. Learn more at kslnewsradio.com/advertise.
Amanda, I've got a cruise planned in a couple of months, and I was thinking about the other people who may have cruises planned coming up a few months from now, and why right now would be the best time for them to begin their weight loss journey on Soda Weight Loss.
If you started right now, you could lose 20, 30, 40 pounds before June.
That's right.
I lost 37 pounds in 3 months, 3.5 years ago. And the beauty about soda is it's not a quick fix. This is learning that is going to last you the rest of your life and help you be healthy.
Your clothes fit better. Your energy comes back. You don't get winded going upstairs.
Yeah.
Things that maybe you don't even realize. When I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, it felt like a transformation.
You learn what works for your body so you don't get addicted to shots or drugs. You just work with a nutritionist who's going to teach you how to keep the weight off for a lifetime.
Right now, you should go check out sodaweightloss.com, see all the thousands of before and after pictures, or speak with a nutritionist by giving a call 866-800-SODA.
Soda Weight Loss. Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU, love where you bank. Here's Ricky Meese.
Looks like crews have been able to clean up the accident and the debris on the road northbound I-15 near the South Interchange. And we're back to a quiet drive on all of your Salt Lake County freeways. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
High of 72 today with some clouds, and then we start to turn up the heat. 79 expected tomorrow and 84 on Wednesday. Right now it's cloudy and 57 degrees. I'm Heather Peterson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, Friday night, Robert Mueller, the former FBI director, and I think he was FBI director for something like 12 years. He was also special counsel. He died at the age of 81. I had to sort of go back in time. It wasn't that long ago from his tenure, what he did. But what was really remarkable about this were comments that the president made, a little bit unfortunate after he learned of his passing.
The president saying in a post on his social media platform that he is glad that Mueller is dead, a remark that drew condemnation even from a Republican senator up on Capitol Hill who called it sad statement about where we are in our political discourse and said that Mueller deserved more respect.
I'm pro-life. I don't celebrate any death, and I certainly don't celebrate the death of somebody who you could disagree maybe on certain matters, but this is a person who served this country and deserves more respect than that.
So that That was Senator Thom Tillis, a Republican from North Carolina. And, you know, one of the things I think we need to at least be consistent is we were on the show. Remember when Charlie Kirk was shot and killed on September 10th here in Utah? There were some people who they didn't celebrate it, but there were people who were maybe not sad. And there seemed to be a lot of condemnation about those comments, right? And I think the same would apply, whether you disagreed with them politically or not, right? They're still a human being. They still had people who loved them. So we have more condemnation that came from other lawmakers like Senator Mark Warner, who's a Democrat from Virginia.
This is the President of the United States talking about a former FBI director, someone who had a career of public service, and to be that disrespectful. I guess I shouldn't be shocked anymore, but it still seems shocking.
Yeah, and we go back, and if you recall, Mueller was the FBI director. He actually served under administrations from both parties, I think, because he was in 12-year tenure, and he started right after the 9/11 attack.
Yeah.
So he certainly took that position at a very difficult time for our country. He did a lot of work there. He was instrumental in a lot of what happened after 9/11 in terms of the FBI's engagement, involvement, and investigation. But I guess he took office 1 week before the 9/11 attack. So wow, what a time to be FBI director.
He was also a Vietnam veteran. He earned a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart. And he, when he was U.S. attorney, he oversaw investigations into the Gambino crime family, right? So one of the things I think that happened in July of 2019, he was retired first, and he was pulled back into public service to investigate Russia's interference in the 2016 election. That was the DOJ, Department of Justice, right? This wasn't Mueller's idea. This was the DOJ. They pulled him back in. His investigation led to charges against 34 people, but he did not determine whether President Trump broke the law.
Right. And what he said was not that Trump didn't break the law, but there was insufficient evidence one way or the other. And I think that caused a lot of consternation with Trump because he wanted to be cleared. Mueller said, look, I don't have enough information, and I'm not recommending charges be brought against the president, but I'm not saying that he didn't do anything. I mean, he was a little bit vague, and you know, that was just something that he did. I mean, he was in that position for a long time. And it was just a really difficult time for our country and what he was doing.
I've been in this business for almost 25 years, and in those 25 years, I have not had occasion once to ask somebody about their political affiliation. It is not done. What I care about is the capability of the individual to do the job and do the job quickly and seriously and with integrity.
So that again, that's one of the issues that came about, I think. Right, it just felt like there were people who seemed to be colluding with the Russian government, but and among people on the Trump campaign, but not Trump himself.
Yeah. So just to take a look back on Robert Mueller's career, this is ABC Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas.
In a life dedicated to answering his country's call to public service, Robert Mueller would find himself repeatedly at the crossroads of history.
The men and women of the FBI join the nation in expressing our deep sympathies for the victims of these horrific tragedies and their families.
Sworn in as FBI director just a week before the September 11th attacks, Mueller was thrust into leading the largest investigation his agency had ever encountered, with multiple crime scenes in New York, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. Mueller received his law degree in 1973 from the University of Virginia. He worked in private practice in San Francisco until 1976, before joining the U.S. Attorney's Office there to become a federal prosecutor. Mueller quickly rose through the ranks, becoming the U.S. Attorney in Boston, then head of the Justice Department's Criminal Division, overseeing major crime cases, including the prosecution of drug cartel leader Manuel Noriega, crime family boss John Gotti, and the investigation into the bombing of Pan Am 103. In 1998, President Clinton appointed Mueller as U.S. Attorney in San Francisco. 3 years later, President George W. Bush nominated Mueller to lead the FBI as his sixth director.
Bob Mueller's term in office will last longer than my own. And the next 10 years will bring new forms of crime, new threats of terror from beyond our borders and within them.
He was unanimously confirmed by the Senate, and within days that new threat of terror would come in his first week as FBI director.
Again, it's remarkable, right, that I just can't imagine the baptism by fire, right, where you have 9/11. And President George W. Bush was not wrong when he said he's going to encounter some new forms of crime. It's like, hello, 1 week later.
Right. Yeah, and then just when he thinks he's sort of fading away and going into retirement, he's asked to do this special prosecutor investigation, and he was under the gun. I think he testified before the Senate for some time, and people were trying to pin him down, and he wasn't willing to. I don't know. He wasn't willing to say what either side really wanted. Like, was there a crime or was there not a crime, especially as it relates to Donald Trump and his involvement purportedly with the Russians during that whole thing. And he just said, look, it's just not there. But he seemed to have done a very, very thorough investigation, to his credit.
Yeah. So I think it's unfortunate that the president said, good, I'm glad he's dead.
Yeah.
So that seems inappropriate, in my opinion.
ABC News contributor and former FBI agent Richard Frankel, who worked under Mueller, reflected on his work ethic and the impact as a leader.
He was a very direct director. In other words, you knew where he stood at all times. It really was his idea, his determination, everything about him that kept the Bureau as one agency, fighting not only criminal acts, but really focused now on terrorism and going from a reactive agency really to a proactive agency.
It is just entirely, unfortunate that anyone would make the comments that we heard about his death and say, well, I'm glad he's dead or whatever it was. I mean, that's just, I don't understand that at all. Whether you have agreements or disagreements with him, sometimes it's better just to remain silent.
So just going back to the 9/11 attacks, it was he was sworn in. A week later, the attacks hit, and then as they did the investigation into the attacks, I mean, he was on the hot seat a lot there. They were even the president at the time was saying, "What are you doing to prevent these attacks?" He had just barely been there, and then when they had the 9/11 commission, they said the FBI had failed again and again and again, and he had to work to rebuild that agency, and he contributed. He served the United States of America in the best way he knew how.
Yeah. What did you do to prevent the 9/11 attacks? Well,
I've been here for 6 days.
I'm still moving into my office.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
When we come back after the break, we're going to give you the latest details on that deadly collision at LaGuardia Airport, which has still shut down the New York airport, when we come back.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877 Cars for Kids to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
This weekly tax tip is brought to you by the Utah Association of Certified Public Accountants. Here's CEO Susan Spears.
Here's what many people are getting wrong with their income taxes. Most of us fill out a W-4 once and never look at it again. In 2026, many taxpayers will see changes. There are new deductions for overtime and tip income plus other changes. If your withholding doesn't reflect those changes, one of two things can happen. You either give the IRS an interest-free loan all year, or you get hit with a surprise tax bill in filing season. If new deductions lower your tax bill by $3,000, but your withholding never changes, that's about $250 a month coming out of your paycheck that you actually didn't owe. The UACPA suggests that now's the time for a W-4 checkup.
Get the most out of your income tax preparation when you hire a licensed CPA. Visit uacpa.org to find a CPA that's right for you. And check out new tax tip videos by following on social media at Talk to Your CPA.
You deserve a home that's truly your sanctuary. Why are you waiting? Dreammaker Bath and Kitchen helps turn someday into today. A space that works and feels like you. Because design and build live under one roof, your remodel experience stays organized. From the first discovery consultation to the final walkthrough, with one team from start to finish. You deserve a home that you can truly be happy in. And that's possible right now. A clear, structured timeline keeps guesswork out of your kitchen or bath project, and it starts with your budget and a fixed price. Then the detailed plan begins with smart and stylish selections, so you know exactly what to expect. Dream Maker Bath and Kitchen is built on integrity and customer focus, and that shows up in the little things, clean job sites, and proactive updates that keep you fully in the loop. Back nationally and 3 locally owned Wasatch Front locations. Schedule a consultation at dreammaker-remodel.com. That's dreammaker-remodel.com. Enhancing lives, improving homes. dreammaker-remodel.com.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
Nathan has taught me to embrace the moment. Age-wise, I'm in my late 60s. I'm old enough to be his grandfather. Will he be embarrassed to acknowledge me as his dad? I think the most important thing we can do is let them know that they're safe, that they're valued and cared for and loved, and that they're important.
I knew I wanted to be adopted by him because of how he taught me to be the person who I am today. And it's coming from a dad that didn't expect to become a dad. And I feel very proud to be his son.
I was what he needed, and he was what I needed. Every day is full of new opportunities. That's what it's been about, realizing the simple things that it takes to make such a huge difference in these kids' lives.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care at adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness.
You can't escape a traffic jam. Know what else you can't escape? Seasonal allergies. And you might think you can avoid that coffee stain until... Oh, really? You can't escape a lot of things in life, but you can escape prediabetes. Prediabetes captures 1 in 3 adults. There are usually no signs of prediabetes. In fact, most people don't even know they have it. But with early diagnosis, you can change the outcome and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Take action by taking the 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. You might not be able to escape having this song stuck in your head, but you can escape prediabetes. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org today. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
The new Inside Sources.
We've been following this morning this deadly crash that occurred at LaGuardia Airport. I think it was yesterday. 72,
Late last night.
Yeah, 72 passengers on board an Air Canada flight collided with a fire truck at LaGuardia Airport. It looked like the plane had just landed and was taxiing. However, it was still traveling very quickly. The impact was so strong that the actual cockpit was destroyed. I mean, it's all over the runway. The pilot and co-pilot were both killed. Some passengers walked off the plane safely, but dozens of others were hurt. And we learned a lot from. We learned recently that apparently a flight attendant was found alive.
So we started our show talking about this and talking with a news reporter who was there. But as we have continued our show just over the last couple of hours, yes, there was a flight attendant who was found still strapped into their seat on the tarmac because the whole, the bottom part of the plane had been destroyed and the whole seat just fell onto the ground. But they're still alive. They found her.
Oh, that's just incredible. Here's ABC News transportation correspondent Gio Benitez telling us more about the scene and what happened.
Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower, requesting to cross 4 at Delta.
Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 at Delta.
Truck 1 and Company, crossing 4 at Delta.
Stop, Truck 1. Stop. Stop, Truck 1. Stop. Jet 646, I see you collide with a vehicle there. Just hold position. I know you can't move. The vehicles are responding to you now.
Images show the plane's nose destroyed, the entire plane tilted up into the air, shreds of the plane hanging to the runway below, the mangled fire truck on its side in the grass, surrounded by debris. Our New York station WABC speaking with 2 of the passengers.
Just heard a loud bang, and then everyone's freaking out, not knowing what to do.
LaGuardia, one of the nation's busiest airports, closing down immediately.
And those poor air traffic controllers, stop, truck one, stop. You could just hear them stop, stop, stop over and over and over. And maybe the truck did, who knows? But it didn't stop in time, and it ended up just being awful.
So we spoke earlier with News Nation's Marcus Espinoza because, as you just heard, they shut down the airport. And this is what he had to say about the airport today.
Nobody's landing. Nobody's taking off. Nobody's getting through security. Nobody's here, basically. Yeah, it's closed and it's eerie inside. If anybody knows anything about LaGuardia, it's one of the busiest airports in the country, hundreds of flights a day. And I was inside the terminal, and it's a ghost town. It's closed till 2 p.m. today at least. We're trying to see how long that'll extend, if it does, or if they'll, 2 o'clock, they'll open things back up. But, I spoke to a passenger who they've had long lines that we've been reporting on here, and the passenger I spoke with arrived at 2 a.m. to try to beat those lines, had no idea this had happened, got to the airport, obviously could not proceed through TSA. Nobody was there. The airport was shut down, ended up having to take a bus to his destination in Pittsburgh. So it created all kinds of chaos. Travel plans getting changed are certainly a headache, but certainly nothing compared to the fact that 2 pilots, lost their lives here, because it's just unimaginable.
So one of the news articles that I'm looking at, this is on the New York Times. There's several news sites that are keeping live updates, but this one, they spoke to a person, Louis Kurtz, who trains aircraft firefighters in Minnesota, and he said he was surprised there were not more fatalities in the collision because the trucks that firefighters at airports use are boxier and heavier than standard fire trucks. They can carry as much as 4,500 gallons of water and 500 gallons of fire-suppressing foam. And so he said this, "It's tragic, but this scene could have been substantially worse if the truck had struck a wing or the belly of the plane where the fuel is stored."
Oh, yeah.
So we do have 2 deaths. We had 41 passengers who were taken to the hospital, which means to me that there were more than 30 passengers who didn't even need to go be checked out. 9 are still in the hospital, and the 2 people who are in the fire truck are in stable condition.
Yeah, and that truck was a full-size big fire truck hit by a plane traveling 100 miles an hour. I mean, you're right. This could have been, and it was awful. I mean, the 2 pilots were killed because the whole front nose of the plane was destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
But the passengers inside, it sounds like at least most of them will probably be okay.
We were asking earlier, too, about the ripple effects, and of course there are ripple effects. So not only now has LaGuardia been shut down. In fact, they're getting ready to reopen in about 30 minutes or so was the plan for flights to take off. But you've got the ripple effects of that. But you also have the TSA shut down. Air traffic controllers are not part of the not getting paid. They are paid, but you still have these ripple effects. And we have ICE agents now showing up at airports. And LaGuardia is one of the ones where they were supposed to go and assist TSA agents. Again, just a real quagmire back there as a plane crash. And I would say this is the first time I think I saw since maybe 1992 that LaGuardia has had a fatality.
Yeah, and it was, you're right, it was weird timing because ICE agents are moving into that airport today, had moved into the airport today. TSA is currently on strike, as is all of Department of Homeland Security. Not on strike, but on a government shutdown.
That's right. They're not being paid. They're working without pay.
They're not being paid, right.
Yeah.
And so, that airport, and what was surprising, maybe that shouldn't have been surprising, is that the entire airport is shut down. I mean, there's nothing going on at LaGuardia, and probably not until 2 o'clock their time, which is still another half an hour away. It's been, and we're hearing from CNN that they do plan to reopen at 2 p.m. today, Eastern time. So yeah, maybe another half an hour away.
Yes, but again, another an incident, really, really unfortunate, and one where I think. Like it's something you don't anticipate, right? You don't anticipate that your plane is going to run into a truck.
Right.
So yeah. Passengers did hear a loud bang, and then it sounds like it was passengers who deployed the emergency slides to get out of the plane.
Yeah. The scene was just awful from last night. I mean, you just look at all the emergency vehicles there, everything that's going on. At least 2 people have passed away. Who knows what the rest will happen? And then the flight, the air traffic controllers just stop. I mean, just repeatedly over and over and over. But this is a big truck and a big plane, two things that just don't stop quickly under any circumstance.
So we know also, and we learned this earlier today from Marcus Espinoza from News Nation, but there was an unaccompanied minor on the plane. they have been reunited with their family, but can you imagine being, he said, can you imagine being the minor? I put myself in the position of the family saying, oh my goodness, right? There's news of a plane crash. My child was on that plane.
Let's go live to CNN for just a minute with some updates.
Sustainable seats. These seats can sustain a terrific impact and protect the person sitting in it. Now we'll take a look at this seat and see if that played a role. But the aircraft are surprisingly strong, and they can withstand a terrible crunch.
This is Peter Getz, CNN aviation
Peter,
analyst speaking.
What you make of the FAA deploying a team to support the NTSB's investigation, and also hearing that Canadian officials are going to be working alongside them as well. How do all these agencies and entities come together to manage this kind of investigation?
Well, the NTSB always works with foreign investigative bodies after any accident such as this that involves a foreign carrier. We have the agency has had close relations with the Canadian Safety Board for decades. They're quite competent. They're very good. We worked with them carefully after the Swissair 111 accident in Nova Scotia. And this is something that is done virtually on every investigation. So I don't think there'll be any challenges there. Now, the FAA, it's a little unusual to have the secretary holding a press conference in the first hours of an accident, but he understands the role of the NTSB and he understands the role of DOT. So I think it's unusual, but it's the state of play today.
And that press conference is set to begin at 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We will, of course, bring it to you live. Peter Golds, thanks so much for your expertise.
Yeah,
thank you.
That was an update from CNN. It was, we're getting more and more updates. A press conference at 3, that's an hour after the airport is supposed to get back running again. But yeah, they're going to have a briefing at 3:15 p.m. Eastern time, which is about an hour and a half from now.
And Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is en route to LaGuardia right now. I know that the New York mayor is also going to stop by. The governor has expressed condolences as well. So we'll keep you updated on KSL News Radio. But when we come back after the break, I want to talk to you about UVU. So UVU has a care hub that offers food, housing support, emergency support. It just got $500,000 from 2 philanthropists to continue its mission. We're going to learn more about that when we come back after the break.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Heather Peterson. KSL's top local story this hour. Police are investigating an officer-involved shooting that left one man dead in Sandy yesterday afternoon. Sandy Police Sergeant Michael Olson says officers were responding to a domestic violence incident when they made contact with a man in his 40s.
Officers were attempting to engage in conversation with that male when he pulled a weapon from his lower leg and charged at the officers.
Olson says the officers fired 4 shots, at least 2 of them which hit the man. He died at the hospital. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump has signaled the U.S. has been engaged in talks with Iran and told reporters today those talks have been progressing. It's unclear which representatives of the Iranian government the U.S. is talking to, but the president says that because of the talks, the U.S. is postponing attacks on Iranian energy facilities.
President Trump claims that Iran wants to make a deal and says they've agreed to not have a nuclear weapon. He told reporters his administration is speaking with the top person in Iran.
We're looking for all of the things that we've been talking about. We want to see no nuclear bomb, no nuclear weapon, not even close to it. Low key on the missiles. We want to see peace in the Middle East.
President Trump for now taking off the table for 5 days his threat to strike Iran's power plants. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 636 points, the S&P is up 73, and the NASDAQ is up 260. Coming up, more days in the 80s coming up this week. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
more from my checking account. That's why I have Dream Rewards checking from Cyprus Credit Union. I earn points for making everyday purchases, paying my loans, even building my savings. Those points get me awesome rewards like cash back, gift cards, travel, and more. I'm making my everyday spending work for me. Learn more at cypruscu.com.
Cyprus Credit Union, your future is our future.
Insured by NCUA.
Rocky Mountain Gun Shows. Don't miss the Rocky Mountain Gun Show Saturday and Sunday, March 28th and 29th at the Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy. Stock up on wholesale ammo now and take advantage of savings that won't last. Get 500 rounds of 9mm ammo for just $85 with no limit on quantity. It's the Rocky Mountain Gun Show, so you know it'll be good. Rocky Mountain Gun Shows.
Not sure how to tackle your taxes? Are you sweating the small print? You may be experiencing FOMO, the fear of messing up. The answer? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it with a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. It's time to take your taxes to the max. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
And we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Free at every AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at UCCU.com. Here's Ricky Meese.
We do have a crash in West Valley City, southbound Bangerter Highway at 3500 South, blocking traffic in multiple directions. It is believed to be a crash with injuries. As a result, southbound Bangerter is now closed, with traffic being diverted west onto 3500 South. Even at 3500 South, you will see some lanes blocked. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Some clouds today, but temperatures will still get up to 72 degrees. Then we'll see a spike in the heat, 79 expected tomorrow and 84 on Wednesday before temps get back down to 70 on Thursday. Right now it's cloudy and 59 degrees. I'm Heather Peterson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com, we're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, Utah Valley University has what they call a care hub that offers food, housing support, and emergency support. This is sort of in response to the unique student body that they have there, and this care hub is designed to connect students to essential resources, including food, housing, health, safety, and emergency support. And why this is important today is because we have heard that 2 philanthropists have donated $500,000 to this cause.
Those philanthropists are Melissa Layton and Emily Wright, so bless them. It's UVU is really interesting because it is unique. They have a very large student body. It's the largest in the state. They're in an open enrollment school, but they also have a high percentage of non-traditional students, meaning these are not the kids who go right after high school that graduate in 4 or 5 years and then they're on to their jobs. I was one of the non-traditional students at UVU when I graduated there a decade ago, when I would have been, 51 when I got a bachelor's degree from UVU. Well, so there's a lot of students with a lot of different kinds of needs. And we have with us on the line Amber McGuire. She's the director of the Care Hub there at Utah Valley University. Thanks for joining us, Amber.
Hi, y'all.
Happy to be here.
Thanks. Can you give us kind of a 30,000-foot view about the services that Care Hub provides? We kind of touched on it briefly, but we'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, so we exist to help students address their most basic foundational needs. So we focus on food, housing, safety, childcare, and then we also have community resources as well and case managers.
Okay, and how has it traditionally been funded? We're talking today about the fact that there was a huge donation given by a couple of philanthropists. How has it been funded historically?
Yeah, so we operate very minimally on student fees. It's less than $1 per student. But then we also are hard funded through taxpayer dollars, but a lot of it is donation based. Our emergency scholarship fund is 100% funded through really kind donors who want to support students while they are facing unexpected circumstance like a flat tire or losing their job, things like that.
So, Amber, is this like a food pantry for UVU students?
Yes, yeah. So we have a really incredible partnership with Community Action Services and Food Bank in Provo and Utah Food Bank, which is, of course, statewide. So we're one of their pantries underneath them, and we're able to serve 300 UVU students a week coming in to grab food for themselves and their families.
Amber, can you talk to our listeners about the importance and maybe the significance of this latest contribution that we're hearing about, this donation?
Yeah, so I'm so grateful to Emily and Melissa for coming to our space and seeing that we need to expand. Like I just said, we see 300 students a week just coming in to use our pantry. And so we are out of space. We need to grow our pantry. We need to have more space for those case management meetings. We had almost 500 individual meetings just last academic year alone. So more space for that. We also know that some of our students have some other needs that we're not currently able to address. So this expansion would provide space for us to do a couple of washers and dryers for our students, to be able to bring in some of those nonprofit organizations to actually come meet with students in our space. So this is just the start of what will hopefully be a much bigger drive. We're about halfway there with this $500,000 donation.
So I want to ask you about housing, and later I hope you'll tell us how people can donate as well. But I was really intrigued. I went to your website. I looked at housing insecurity. I know that's a really big issue, but I also see that you are able to help with emergency housing. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so that program is definitely very much needs-based, and it's a little more complex, but we want to make sure that if we have students who are having to leave an unsafe living situation, that we're able to at least put them up for an evening or a few days for them to get back on their feet. So we obviously have a partnership with the Refuge Utah for our students who are leaving a domestic violence situation. But we have Airbnb vouchers that we're able to give to students, granted that they meet Airbnb qualifications, where we can help them find a place to stay for a few days or for a week as they are trying to get connected to the community resources. Utah Housing Resources, we're still struggling as a community to get that right level of how we can support. So this is just a little step in the direction to help stabilize our students who are leaving unsafe living situations.
And I suppose a lot of our listeners don't know, and I've only recently learned how large Utah Valley University has become, and your student body is really diverse. I mean, I'm looking at 29% are adult learners like Holly, 25 or older, 14% of the students support at least another child. I mean, talk to our listeners about how the demographics of the university contribute to the need for this care hub.
Yeah, I think UVU is such an incredible institution because we are an open enrollment college. So that means that as long as you have a diploma or a GED, you will get accepted into UVU. And so we are a place for any individual who's looking to go back to school, not just for a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, but for a certificate, for an associate's. And so we are open to anyone who's looking to further their earning potential, to better the lives of their families. And so that also means that we are not seeing the quote unquote traditional student. We're not seeing those individuals who are between 18 and 22 who have parent support, family support. We have a super diverse range of individuals who are walking through our doors. Like you said, we have the adult learners, we have student parents, we have our veterans who are trying to navigate this with also navigating groceries, rent, family circumstances. So yeah, UVU is a very unique and always growing place that has its own significant challenges where we're really trying to help those students who might not have the support that they need while juggling the real life responsibilities that they see every day.
Okay, Amber, here's my final question. Where can people go if they want to help, both to donate and maybe if you have opportunities for volunteers? Where do they go?
Yeah, so I would recommend everyone go to our website, which is linked in the KSL article, but it's also uvu.edu/studentcare. You also can check out our Instagram at UVUcare. But yeah, we don't currently have opportunities except for UVU students to volunteer to help stock our pantry. But I would really love, if you know of a UVU student, helping to share our resources with them. We want to be that one-stop shop because we are not just for students who might not have the resources. We're for students who are doing everything right, who are working, who are caring for their families, who are attending school, but are just one emergency away from stopping out. We are here for all of our UVU students.
Thank you, Amber. That was Amber McGuire, director of the Care Hub at Utah Valley University. And, the more I learn about that university, Holly, the more I'm impressed with what's going on. It didn't even exist when I was in college. I think that they had at one point Utah Valley State College.
Yeah,
it was small,
and even before that, there was
right,
something else. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
It was almost seemed like it was a feeder school for BYU or something. But it's become now the largest by population university in the state, and just very innovative. They're doing a lot of things down there that make a lot of sense. Well, when we come back after the break, we're done almost. We have one more segment, so we're going to do our closing argument, our fun facts, and our facts of the day. Stay with us.
Are your investments in the right accounts? What's best, traditional or Roth? Are you receiving all available tax deductions? Are you paying as little in tax as you can? These are all questions you can't afford to get wrong. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth, and in many cases, it's not what you make, but it's what you keep that makes the real difference. Trajan Wealth and Trajan Tax work closely together exclusively. No more guessing about whether you should do a Roth conversion, or if maxing out your 401k is really the best option. Our nationally recognized fiduciary advisors and CPA team work in tandem to make sure your tax strategy works with your investment strategy. We'll even do your tax preparation. One team, one strategy. Isn't it time for a second opinion? Call Trajan today, 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Get 5 quarts of Valvoline full synthetic motor oil and a MicroGuard Select oil filter for just $36.99. Limit supply.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Jackson Hewitt has a great tax prep deal, $149 or less. Missing out is like ignoring the check engine light in your car. You'll regret it. Seriously, the price is only $149 or less, no matter how complicated, so don't wait. Like when you get a password expires today alert, or you're shopping online and there's only one item left. It's like your taxes are in the cart, just complete the purchase. Hurry, this deal for $149 or less is like your phone at 1%. It's about to power down. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Ready to free your team from time-consuming office tasks? Amazon Business empowers leaders with smart business buying tools, leaving time to focus on strategy and growth. Free up your teams and focus on your future at AmazonBusiness.com.
Some stories are written in ink, others are written in the heart. Experience the romance and the legend of Titanic, the exhibition, now open in Sandy. Stroll the promenade under a starry sky, stand before the grand staircase, and connect with true stories of love and heroism that have captivated the world for over a century. Discover a date night or a family outing unlike any other. Tickets are moving fast. Book yours at thetitanicexhibition.com. Titanic, the exhibition, at the shops at Southtown and Sandy.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Theos Immigration Law is a Salt Lake City firm helping individuals and families navigate immigration needs. From visas and green cards to citizenship, they provide experienced guidance and support every step of the way. Owner and lawyer Kevin Theos joins us with more.
When immigration rules change overnight, families and careers hang in the balance. At Theos Immigration Law, we help you study the ground. The past year's been overwhelming for anyone relying on the U.S. immigration system. Rapid policy shifts, inconsistent adjudication, and unpredictable timelines have created stress for families, employers, and global talent. Our mission is simple: bring clarity to that uncertainty and help you move forward. We focus on employment-based immigration, especially for professional athletes, coaches, and organizations building diverse, high-performing teams. We also provide family-based services to help loved ones reunite with confidence. Our approach is personal and transparent. We explain new rules, anticipate changes, and design pathways tailored to each client's goals. Whether you're navigating complex visa categories, responding to shifting requirements, or securing long-term stability, we make the process clearer, calmer, and more empowering. Learn more at theosimmigrationlaw.com.
By guiding families and businesses through complex immigration processes, Theos Immigration Law works to strengthen Utah's workforce, support local employers, and help build more stable, thriving communities across the state. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Opioids are powerful pain-reducing prescription medicines, but most people who are prescribed opioids don't finish their prescriptions. So millions of unused opioids are sitting in homes across the country. And tragically, more than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Inside Sources.
Well, we started the show talking about what's going on in some of our airports, especially LaGuardia Airport, and that should be opening up soon. Maybe we'll have some good news in relation to that before the end of the day.
Well, to pivot away from plane crashes, I wanted to tell you that today is National Puppy Day. I love puppies. They are so cute. All baby animals are so cute,
only
really.
They could remain puppies.
I know. It is also Cuddly Kitten Day. So if you're going to go adopt a pet, today might be the day. Make good choices.
You think that's a coincidence? It's Puppy Day and Cuddly Kitten
I wonder
Day?
if somebody saw one and said, well, that's not fair. I'm going to ask for another one. So I don't know, actually. It's also Chips and Dip Day. So if we're going to talk about food.
Who thinks of these days?
It's Chip and Dip Day and National Tamale Day. So it really is great. It is actually also OK Day, and there's a reason for that. The reason it is called OK Day is because in 1839, OK became part of the national vernacular in the United States.
I thought you were going to say Oklahoma was
made
a state. And
no.
OK.
No, it's like OK, right? And we spell it OK with just those two letters, but we also spell it OKAY. So since we already transitioned to the On This Day, I'm going to give you a few interesting ones and then some sad ones.
Okay.
In 1775, Patrick Henry gave his famous speech where he said,
"Give me liberty or give me death."
That is correct. 1775, March 23rd.
Right.
In 1857, Elisha Otis installed the first public elevator in New York City. I don't know how brave you would have to be one of the first people to go in an elevator.
Otis, because I know a lot of the elevators still have that name.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
I had no idea that, because that's who the inventor was.
1857. In 1875, and I did not know that it was this long ago that it was discovered, but the British survey ship, it was the HMS Challenger, discovered the deepest known region of the Earth's oceans when it made its first sounding of the Mariana Trench.
Mariana Trench, right. Which is, I don't know how deep it is, but it's deeper than
Everest.
Mount Everest is high.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's so deep, miles.
Big, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that's really fascinating to me is they continue to make discoveries from the deep, deep ocean, right?
It's just hard to get
things
anything
that
down
live there. Yeah, I know the pressure
and the lack of light and everything else, right?
So this bill impacted Utah. In 1882, the Edmunds Act was adopted by the U.S. Senate. Of course, it was aimed squarely at the Utah Territory. It was an anti-polygamy act. And it was later followed about 5 years later by the Edmunds-Tucker Act, which was much more even severe in its consequences. The later act even stripped women's right to vote away from the territory.
Utah is one of the few states, maybe the only state, that has a constitutional ban against polygamy in its constitution. Yeah.
And that was part of statehood, right? I mean, I think there's no question about that. So this one is interesting to our women listeners. In 1981, doesn't feel like that long ago, the U.S. Supreme Court decided in a case that Louisiana's, quote, head and master, that's the unquote, law stipulating that marital property was under the control only of the husband, that was unconstitutional.
In
1981. And they literally called it head and master. I'm like, that grates a little bit. I have to say that. Okay.
I mean, you'd think that would have been in the 40s or 50s.
Nope. So, and then these are some sadder ones. So in 1983, Barney Clark passed away. He was the dentist who was the world's first recipient of a permanent artificial heart right up at the University of Utah.
Right.
He died 112 days after having that heart implanted.
It was innovative. I mean, we were all captivated by that because he was getting an artificial heart, and he lived for how long?
112 days.
That was incredibly remarkable because that was over 40 years ago.
And here's my fun fact surrounding that is I was a nursing student at BYU at the time, and we had an opportunity to hear from Barney Clark and the doctor actually while he was still alive during that time frame. It was really interesting, and I didn't realize at the time just how innovative it was, but really remarkable, right? And we've come a long ways since then about being able to keep people alive who need new hearts.
Right, and that was experimental. It was innovative. 120 days was pretty. They had to feel pretty good about 112 days.
Yeah, they did. And, it was so tightly controlled. Like, he was literally dying, and he said, I'm happy to try this. He didn't ever leave the hospital, but he got an extra 112 days. Okay, so on this day in 2011, Elizabeth Taylor died at age 79. So she was one of the ones where I think you just think she's going to live forever, right? And she passed away.
I'm embarrassed. I thought she was still alive.
2011. That was 15 years ago. Okay. In 2022, Madeleine Albright passed away at age 84. And I heard her when she came to Utah. She came and did part of that Wasatch Speaker Series I told you I've belonged to. So I was able to hear her in person, and she died in 2022, so 4 years ago.
Secretary of State?
Yeah. Yep, first female Secretary of State.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yep. And then this one is closer to home for me. It was a year ago today that Mia Love passed away. She was age 49. She was a friend of mine, and she, of course, was the first Black Republican woman elected to Congress. She served for 2 terms. She had been mayor of Saratoga Springs. She also had started on the city council there, and
she left quite a legacy.
She did, and she was diagnosed with glioblastoma, a fast-growing glioblastoma. She was able to live about twice as long as they first thought when they gave her diagnosis. But it was, you just think she never even hit 50.
Yeah.
And how sad that was for all of us. But she was able to see her first grandchild born they've had a second grandchild since then, and she left behind a husband and 3 kids and 1 grandchild. They now have 2, but it just was like, it feels like in some ways that feels like forever ago. In some ways it's like, wow. Yeah. It's already been a year. That went fast.
And you knew her in a way that a lot of people don't. And she served in Congress for at least 1 or 2 terms. I don't recall
2 terms,
exactly.
2 terms.
And served very remarkably for the people of, I think she lived in Utah County.
Yeah,
she was a mayor
did.
in Saratoga
Springs, and she was still in Saratoga Springs. And she, some friends and I were able to go over, and she had some great neighbors and things as well too. But we were there a couple of days before she passed away, just singing to her and crying and saying our goodbyes while she was still with us.
I remember a lot about her, but one of the things that she did that was just remarkable, and I think that people should take a minute and read this. She wrote about her life and her legacy, knowing that she was dying. She sat down and penned some thoughts, and they were beautiful. I mean, if you ever get a chance to look at that, I'm sure you have. But I'm talking to our listeners.
I think you're talking about her column in the Deseret News called "My Living Wish for America."
Yes,
yeah,
right.
She was at the end of her life, and she left behind her wishes for the country.
Yeah. I remember reading that. Well, I got up this morning and read about a man who died Sunday, shot by police in Sandy. And I recall, and I've talked about this before, but I want to talk about it briefly again. I represent police officers involved in officer-involved shootings, and it's not something that any officer wants to do. It's not anything that an officer is prepared for, but it seems like more and more and more officers who respond to domestic violence situations are put in the line of fire in ways that you wouldn't expect. I mean, we think of officers being ambushed or a high-speed chase or something that leads to this. But the most frightening situation, I think, for police officers are responding to domestic violence situations, because you have these situations. It's normally a male who is decided that he's just had enough. And what's ironic about it is because people are married, they sometimes have children. The person you love the most becomes the person that you want to hurt the most, and they also decide that they want to go out with a bang. And some people call it suicide by cop. It's a terrible thing to do, but basically you put the officers in this situation where they have no choice but to do something. In this case, officers fired 4 shots. And here's another thing that happens, because I've done these cases. Those officers, I don't know how many there were, at least a couple, are now they're with the Sandy City Police Department. They're now on administrative leave. They're going to be examined. They're going to be questioned. They're going to be interrogated. They're going to be looked at as potential, and I'm not saying this is the case, but they're looked at as there's a criminal investigation that will go on with respect to those officers because there was a homicide, and almost certainly they'll be cleared because it looks like it was legitimate, but those officers will never be the same. The way that they will treat their jobs will never be the same, and a lot of them, I've had cases where officers are involved in these situations and they say, that's it for me, I'll never do it again. Well, that's it for us. When we come back, we will have Midday with Maria Shileos up next with more on how one water district is calling for customers to conserve water. Stay with us.